Courtesy Guardians TV, good guys take it. 9-8, Rochio drove in for the Guardians, overcome the biggest deficit in baseball history, 15.5 games to win the division. Guardians will play host to the Tigers in the AL Wildcard round, Game 1, tomorrow afternoon at Progressive Field. Browns had a lot of drop passes, plenty of turnovers, ended up losing in Detroit 34-10. And Coach Kevin Stfansky on how this is not what you do if you'd like to win.
It's just it's frustrating because we know you can't do those things and expect to win on the road, and so I got to get it fixed.
Joe Flacco, 16 of 34, 184 yards, 2 interceptions, lost a fumble, 3 turnovers, led to 17 points. Browns fall to 1-3. Action elsewhere in the AFC North, Steelers beat Minnesota 24-21, first ever regular season game played in Ireland, and the Chiefs knock off Baltimore 37-20. Patrick Mahomes, 4 touchdown passes for the Chiefs. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson had to leave the game in the third quarter because of a hamstring injury. Don't miss the Browns preview show tonight, followed by Monday Night Football. All starts at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next now with the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive, weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
They announced the final score in Boston. The Tigers lost 4-3. Guardians are officially Central Division champions, regardless of the outcome of this game now. Leading up, Bo Naylor, base hit center field. That'll bring home the runner, George Valera, and the outfield played so deep that Bo easily into second base with an RBI double. Right field, it's deep. It is on the pole! Book it!
With everything you guys have been through, you should get to party twice. You get punched in the face, and every time we punch right back, we get up and we fight. Division freaking champs, boys, and we ain't done. Let's
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Hopping bottles of champagne. Will it be in October to remember the Guardians have done it? The unthinkable. 15.5. They wiped it clean, and they won the freaking division. Anthony Lima, Daryl Ryder is in for Kenny, who went to Disney World. That's how he is celebrating the Guardians today. Welcome on in, everybody. Daryl Ryder.
This is next week to go to the Magic Kingdom.
He
doesn't care about Guards Ball.
No, apparently not. I think he cares. He had to be watching yesterday. He had to be paying attention. We've got Mitch, we've got Owen, we've got Daryl. And welcome on in. We will save the Browns for a little later in the show. I promise you we will get to them in about 20 minutes. What an unbelievable comeback for this division. Improbable. And then just they added even some more flavor, some more flair with the walk-off yesterday. Were you paying attention, Daryl, closely? I know you had other things. You had, the Browns game to pay attention to, although you really only had to pay attention for about, a half? A little over a half?
Yeah, about toward the end of the third quarter, I was able to zero in on the Guardians.
That's when the unraveling began?
We had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen in Detroit, but to put this run for the Guardians in perspective, it is the largest deficit overcome in Major League history. The 1914 Braves rallied from 15 games down. The 78 Yankees from 14 down. The 2012 A's 13 back to come back and swipe that division. The 95 Mariners, we remember them, right? They were 13 back, as were the 1951 Giants. So just to put in perspective what the Guardians have accomplished over this last month and a half, 15.5 back. Not only do they, I love the fact that not only did they win the division, Anthony, they won it outright yesterday. By winning, they win it outright. Yeah, they had the tiebreaker, but a little extra cherry on top of that one with them finishing a full game in front of the Motor City Kitties.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, it's a team obviously you know very well. They might not. They decided it didn't make sense to go with Skubal. They wanted to save him for the playoffs. They would rather go on the road than to have not had Skubal or
because
to have
he's
to pitch
done so
him on
well
3
against
days.
the Guardians in the last 2 weeks.
Well, I know. They've gotten the best of him. They didn't necessarily hit him that hard, but they did get the best of him, and they got into his head. Obviously, the David Fry stuff as well. But This is amazing. I think I'm sitting with the only people that truly believed in this team throughout the year, because I certainly buried, and most on this show buried them. Daryl, you had a guarantee. Owen's been saying for
July 17th.
Okay, you wrote it down. You had a specific date? Because what were they on July 17th?
Not only did I write it down, but here you go. Wins and losses between sports are apples and oranges. I mean, 8 Guardians losses is equal to 1 Browns loss in the grand scheme of the amount of games they play per season.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So the horrible stretch that the Guardians put up where we all lost our minds still was just
week and
about
a half.
2 weeks of Browns football. And then winning 6-7 was winning in the snow against the Steelers on Thursday night. It's the same deal.
Yeah, obviously, I don't think this team is really going anywhere. I think we're both, unfortunately.
And if you do make the playoffs, and I think they're going to make the playoffs.
You do?
Yes.
Ooh.
I think just looking at the schedule, I think it's 4 games. They got to make up 4 games.
Owen wants to play schedule game here for the second half.
Well, I've wanted to play schedule game for a month. That's why I bring it up every day.
I don't know.
Well, I will tell you, you didn't hear Ken in there. Ken buried him too. We buried him. And you, for some silly reason, believed in that team, which had not only lost 10 games in a row, they went on to lose 9 in a row in another streak. So
they lost 19 of 20.
That's 1/8. That's, if you think about it in the NFL terms, right? That's 1/8 of a schedule.
They also lost the starter and their closer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing that's incredible that they overcame, because when that news came down, I'm like, all right, well, these guys, we were thinking this is just tip of the iceberg. Like, who else is involved in this? And, we're sitting here in almost October, and we've had no resolution to that case. Well, nobody's talking about that case.
And mixed in, we had that bogus report from one of the national baseball writers saying that it went beyond those two. Then Jason, I think it was Jason Lloyd that reported, no, it doesn't go beyond those two. It's just those two players. But everything that they've been in, and you heard it in the open there from Stephen Vogt, everything that this ball club has been through this year, so many times it was easy to jump off the bandwagon. It looked really dire there in late May and throughout the month of June with the offensive struggles. And it's almost miraculous considering the offense. I feel like that they won the division in spite of their offense. I really do. The rotation really fell into form down the stretch. They got hot when it matters most. Now, can they carry this into this wild card series with the Tigers, ultimately finish them off, and then advance to play Seattle in Game 1 of the American League Division Series on Saturday?
Well, yeah, you've got early games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
if necessary.
Yeah, and
can we just get a 2-game sweep? Can we just get this over with?
Well, can they beat Skubal a third time?
Sure.
Can they take them? It'd be pretty.
He hasn't pitched since he hit David Fry in the face.
Yeah, we saw how
it's not like he got to go out there and unshake it. It's on the same mound. And that's the last appearance that he's had.
Not to mention, it's going to be packed.
The last time he was in Cleveland, he was in Stephen Vogt's truck.
Yeah, it is the whole story, and that they're going to dwell on that. That'll be one of the big stories. Look, the reality is you got to beat them a third time, to feel really good about doing this. I don't know. Do we have odds on the series? Because they've been underdogs in all these games, and then they finished the season winning 17 of 20, and they needed them all. They needed to do this to have a shot. 216-474-0092. I want to hear from fans on all of this, because the people, there seems to be 2 distinct tribes, pardon the vernacular here, when it comes to this team. Because as much as I said I was proud of them, I love them because they overachieve, as opposed to another team in town that always underachieves. And that's the team we talk about the most. This team, what they just pulled off, they are one of the great stories in recent baseball history, maybe ever. I mean, you said 15.5.
I think all time. No team's ever done this, being 15.5 back to come. And again, outside of Jose Ramirez, outside of him, I'm going to throw Stephen Kwan in there too. Yep. Stephen hit 275, but no real big boppers, no real consistent big boppers in this lineup. It's not like that they came back and were just bludgeoning opponents to death like the 95 Indians did.
Still, they have the second worst batting average in baseball, and I think this is. I've been trying to look for this. Maybe Mitch can track it down. Our crack staff of one, Mitch. If we can find out, do they have the lowest batting average ever to make the playoffs?
No, I think that might be the Cincinnati Reds.
This is 226 on the year, their batting average.
I believe it was 220 when last checked, which is lower than the 1906 Chicago White Sox, who, by the way, went on to win the World Series that year.
Come on.
There you go.
You know they're diff right now?
No. Were they under? They had to be under,
They're
right?
-6.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often in baseball. Like, we've seen that in the NFL, right? I don't think
they're 14 games over 500, and they're -6 in the differential and plus minus runs.
So none of this makes sense.
Three words for you: pitching wins championships.
Well, when you go, what was it, 19 games where the starter gave up 2 or less?
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that didn't happen in 100 years.
Their September ERA going into this past weekend was just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, so I said there are two distinct camps. There are the ones like me who have to. You can't overlook when you make history like this. There's a team that wins the World Series every year. There's not a team that comes back from 15 and a half down in the division to win the division. This is all-time amazing. I'm in one camp. And I've been talking about this, how over the last 2 weeks, how amazing this is, how I still didn't even, 2 weeks ago, still didn't think they were necessarily going to pull it off.
You haven't put that butt in there yet?
Well, the other camp is pretty clear, and I'm getting it. I got it all day yesterday. I got it all weekend. It seems like every time I wanted to celebrate what they were doing, like it was almost like a magnet. The weirdos came a-coming about, well, they're not going to win the World Series, so who cares? So what I can't believe is, like, you'll have your time to shine. They're not going to win the World Series. You just have to wait because they probably won't. Most teams don't win the World Series. There's only one team that wins it every year.
29 teams do not win the World Series every year.
The odds are against them. Yes, higher payrolls will be there. And you know what? Higher payrolls have been eliminated. We just played the Rangers. They were eliminated. They were over $200 million. Okay? The Mets. How the Mets doing last time I checked?
They're getting clowned by the Reds right now.
Yeah, so just payroll alone, whatever. We don't have to relitigate that every single time we talk.
Why does payroll have to steal your joy?
But that's what I'm saying. They won't.
The Browns spend infinite sums of money and they can't win. They can't be competitive. They print money at 76 La Groza Boulevard. They just throw it at the team. Here's more money at the team. $600 million they're going to spend over these 2 years to win like 6 games, okay? The Guardians are the most successful organization as far as consistency goes. 15 times since that ballpark opened in 94, they've made the playoffs. They've won their division 13 times. I would argue they are the most underappreciated team in town for the value they give their fans. Now, do they always play the most exciting, compelling, edge of your seat, 3-run homer baseball that fans tend to embrace? No, they did yesterday, though.
I'll say the last 3 weeks of the year, they were as entertaining as anybody in baseball. I don't know how anybody. They just ask national guys, just ask Ken Rosenthal, just ask Jeff Passan, who cannot stop congratulating what this team did. And I guess
you went from one Hall of Fame manager to Stephen Vogt, and all he's done in his first 2 years is win the division twice.
Well, that's a baseball guy, too. That's a baseball guy who came on here on Friday. I think he was kind of scolding us for maybe talking too much football.
Guys.
Yes.
Football guys. I did catch that.
Guys. You guys are football guys.
So, I guess, when did we get to the point where making the playoffs doesn't matter in baseball? Because it's always mattered. It's always mattered. Ask those guys that celebrate in the clubhouse with champagne every single time, no matter what.
I would get people being down on them for just making the playoffs, but they didn't just make the playoffs. They won the division, and no matter how the playoff format has been over, with the exception of when it used to be 24 teams in Major League Baseball and you had to win the AL and the NL, and then you got in the World Series straight away. Since, 94 especially, just if you win the division, you're in the playoffs, right? So it didn't matter. They won the division. They came back from 15 and a half, and they won it by a game.
They didn't back their way in.
Right.
This is seizing the opportunity. Again, a team in town that seizes the opportunity, and yet people in my mentions all weekend, who cares? They're not going to win the World Series.
A team that backed their way in. Detroit made the playoffs. They went 7-17 in September.
Did they celebrate, by the way? Did we find out?
They did celebrate. They had champagne because they have to. I don't know that. I watched Fox 2 in Detroit broadcast last night, and there was, maybe we'll have some of that later from some of the guys that are in print and on radio there, but they're kind of like, yeah, we made the playoffs. The thing they have going for them is, who have they played the most the last 2 weeks? It's the Guardians, right?
You think that's going for them?
That's not a good thing for them, though.
No, if you're a Detroit, honk right now, you only got to win 2. You only got to win 2. It's different. It is different.
I feel like we've been their boogeyman, though.
Yeah. Anthony, who's been hotter on the Guardians than me?
Oh, I know. I mean, I gotta give credit. Owen and you have been.
Do you know the amount of beat boxes I've purchased at that stadium?
Okay, what are we up to?
Month?
What's the tally? Because people are tweeting us all weekend.
All I got was I got a picture of a 78-year-old woman with her first beat box at her first Guardians game. She got her certificate. That was amazing. But yeah, all weekend it's beat boxes at the ballpark.
I love the thought of that woman.
I did spot you on the drink rails Friday night when I was at the ballpark.
I try to have my time at the drink rails every chance I get.
I love the thought of that woman walking in, getting her certificate, like, where do I go? Guest services. I want to commemorate this. And where's the beat box?
Yes.
Get me to the beat box.
The 2 things you always think of at your first Guardians game.
For the uninitiated, Daryl, 11%, I think we're talking about.
11.1.
Yeah.
Don't undersell that last 0.1.
It is bringing the hammer. And Owen has had the entire final stretch run
downtown.
fueled by it. You can make your way over there. 216-474-0092. So, I mean, the question is going to be, and it'll be there all morning, it'll be there all day tomorrow, it'll be there all week as you go up against Skubal. I'm guessing they're underdogs in that game.
Yeah, I'm sure game 1 there.
We have not chosen our starter yet. I imagine it's going to be Gavin Williams, right?
Yeah, I think it's
which is
good.
Gavin. You didn't have to use them. So,
but officially, it's still a TBD. Officially,
yeah, I think it's pretty obvious it'll be Gavin.
That should change this afternoon when the Guardians talk.
Yeah, right now it's Detroit minus 175.
Yeah, they've got their 2-time Cy Young Award winner. I do think
he doesn't.
It is pretty obvious. Well, I don't think he's scared of our lineup. I mean, we to break things open, we had 3 guys come to the plate bunting, and it worked. And then the unfortunate incident happened with Fry, but all that's going to be in his head. The fans, as much as we embraced how great of a class player he was after the game, that goes right out the window. When it comes to the fans, they are going to be chanting his name. That place is going to be worked into a frenzy. It's going to be a sold-out crowd. It's playoff baseball. We do playoff baseball pretty damn well in this town, and I absolutely cannot wait. So
appreciate it.
If you want to line them up, we will be getting to the Browns, but I want to get you guys in first. 216-474-0092. Now, do they have to validate what they just did? Do they have to win this wild card round? Because we are thrilled. This show, we are on the same page. We're thought partners about this team and how, you can talk tough and say World Series or bust. It doesn't matter, and payroll and whatever. Guys, we are celebrating what they just did. They made history.
Anthony, now
we're
playoff companions.
And we're playoff companions. I like that, Owen. 216-474-0092. And the Browns got steamrolled, and everybody in the world wants to make a quarterback change. I will tell you when we come back why this is probably not the week to do it. We'll get to that straight ahead here on Sports Radio. Now, we're going to the playoffs. We are in the playoffs here on 92.3 The Fan.
cans for $6.50 and save 10 cents off a gallon with the True Rewards app. Available in your favorite app store.
Obstruction-free drive 271 north from Richmond to Wilson Mills and 77 north from Jet to East 9. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Want to talk Browns while you're at work? Baskin and Phelps, weekdays starting at 10 on 92.3 The Fan.
Mental error. We had some verts inside, and we had press outside, and I was just kind of licking my chops to take a shot right there, on 3rd and 8 or 9, whatever it was, and made a mistake that hurt us.
That was Joe Flacco. There was not a lot of good. There was really not any good to talk about yesterday after that game, where the Browns got bludgeoned, and you probably should have been worse. Jameson Williams doesn't drop, 2 easy passes. They put 2 other scores on the board. They lose 34-10. Special teams were abysmal. And obviously the focus when it comes to fans in games like this is quarterback. And Dale Ryder is in for Ken Carman on a day where the Guardians there's a lot to celebrate. With the Browns, there's a lot to question. And everybody wants to make the move. Fans, I've seen it. I've seen the reaction. And at times I feel like I'm in a twilight zone a little bit, Daryl, because my takeaway from that game, my first thought wasn't Joe Flacco needs to be replaced, but it seemed to be the easy solution that I think fans who don't want to just waste the season and don't want to just continually watch every week and watch the worst offense in the NFL. I don't know statistically if that's backed up, Daryl. You probably have the numbers. It seems like there couldn't be worse offenses in the league, although what's Callahan doing over there with his number 1 overall pick? That looks pretty bad.
He's getting into fights with everyone now.
Yeah, he is. That does look pretty bad. So if we're not the worst, we're pretty damn close, and that was unwatchable, for the second part of that game. Defense did all they could to hang in there, and really it went downhill in a hurry after Delpit's trip. So, Daryl, is it as easy as just taking Flacco out? Because I'm telling you, I'm watching Detroit. It looked like they had 2 Myles Garretts, as bad as our tackles were in that game. So I don't know what you expect a overdrafted 5'9", 3rd round Dylan Gabriel to do with that offensive line, but it seemed like that was the easy solution for all the fans that I was talking to yesterday.
I have news for you. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Joe Flacco's washed. Dylan Gabriel, I still can't believe they picked him in the 3rd. It doesn't matter who starts a quarterback Sunday in London. It really doesn't. It does not improve their chances to win. That was the realization that I came to yesterday. The notion of, well, so-and-so gives us the best chance to win. I have news for you, Cleveland. None of your quarterbacks on this roster give you any chance to win. That is where we're at. Joe Flacco doesn't give you a chance to win. Turns it over too much. When he is putting footballs on guys' hands, they're not catching it. Okay? Jerry Jeudy, I watched the film yesterday. You stink. Okay? You got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. Okay? It's that simple. I'm going to give Harold Fannin a little grace. That was a pretty big drop he had, but you know what? Watching him and the effort he gives after catches, similar to Quinshon Judkins after contact, you get a little reprieve from me there. But when you're going after reporters about whether or not they're watching film, okay, but you're not catching the ball and you're supposed to be the number 1 receiver on this team, I'm going to go after you. Because you're part of the reason the Browns got their butt kicked in Detroit yesterday. It was embarrassing. It was Baltimore 2.0. Close for 3 quarters, and then the big implosion in the 4th quarter. Okay, Dylan Gabriel, here's your mop and bucket. Go ahead and clean this mess up. But Dylan Gabriel, whenever he starts, whether it's this week in London against the Vikings or the following week in Pittsburgh or the following week against Miami, it doesn't matter. It does not matter who starts a quarterback. You have no tackles. You're 4 tackles deep already. Okay, KT Leviston and the other kid, Cornelius Lucas, got beat like drums yesterday.
I don't think you're going to have to memorize their names, Daryl. I think the Browns are going to continue looking and continue. I mean, they might have to make trades. Honestly, they might have to make trades.
If you're Andrew Berry, would you even invest assets in this team right now? Is it even worth it to go trade for a left tackle?
Well, when was the Wyatt Teller trade? When they made the Wyatt Teller trade?
Well, John Dorsey made that trade, I believe, during training camp.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that
was a steal. They gave up like a 7th-round pick or something.
It was one of those, he might get cut, so give up a 7th.
That was in August of 2019.
Okay, I don't know. Thank you, Mitch. I don't know how many teams.
Camp.
Yeah, I don't know how many teams are looking to trade usable linemen. You'd have to find a desperate team that needs something else. Either way, they're not going to be able to fix this this year. And what do we know about rookies that play behind bad offensive lines? What do we know about first round? What do we know about number 1 overall picks that play behind bad offensive lines?
You honestly think this is going to go better with Dylan Gabriel out there?
Guys, I saw DTR against Baltimore a few years ago, and that is quite frankly what
there were some complications in there, related to knowing the playbook and things like that.
And fine, Dylan might know the playbook. I don't know if the playbook is gonna. It's going to maybe okay on those bootlegs, but remember, Flacco on those bootlegs has guys in his face.
And Dylan Gabriel is sacked for the 3rd time today, but he does know the playbook.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody, and you tell me, you correct me if I'm wrong, 216-474-0092. Everyone's just going to make it as easy as change the quarterback because that's the easiest lever to pull. I'm going to tell you, this week, that almost makes no sense. You have... a Monday, what do they do on Mondays? And Daryl, it's not a victory Monday. What do they do on Mondays?
They're watching film and making excuses.
Right, Jerry Jeudy can watch the tape with Jeff Shadell this week.
Yes.
They can sit together and diagnose the drops that we all saw and him, reacting. God, you almost would think that Jerry Jeudy was like one of those Chad Ochocinco or...
You thought he was Odell Beckham Jr. the way he acts sometimes.
The way he acts, he can't catch the football. It's why Denver moved on from him. Why did you guys think Denver moved on from him? I know when we had Mark Schlereth on and everybody wanted to claim victory laps when he had that huge game against Denver last year. What happened?
He did have a 1,000-yard season and made Pro Bowl last year.
And what his biggest game of his career, they also lost. He is not a winning football player. He just isn't. He's not a winning football player. It's what everybody in Denver who had eyes wanted to tell us when we traded for him. But, we want to do the Andrew Berry laser eyes on that move. Well, he's not a winning football player. I don't know how much more evidence you guys need.
Here's Jerry after the game yesterday on his drops.
Yeah, that got me hot, bro. I made that damn play, bro. It was a big-time play. I got to catch them. I catch them every day in practice. I made that play, bro. Frustrating. It would have been, 17-20 after that? That would have been a big play, touchdown, 17-20. We dropped that, pumped the ball. They took a punt return back, man. Man, as a receiver on this team, bro, as a wide receiver, I made those plays, man.
All right, I'm glad he owned up to it.
I'm going to give him credit for taking ownership. I will give him credit for that. And he deserves credit for that. But you wouldn't have to take ownership if you just caught the ball.
Well, people were putting some of this on Flacco and he's late. Guys, are you watching the pressure that Joe Flacco is under? It is.
He's under siege every time the ball is snapped.
It is miraculous he made it through that game. If you guys are telling me 5'9" Dylan Gabriel is surviving those hits that he took.
Especially the one with the fumble where Hutchinson hit him, right, and he falls backwards, and it looked like a middle school prank where he got tripped from behind.
Not only that, I mean, he got drilled on the throw to Fannin that Fannin dropped where he put it in the basket. It was an amazing. That was a dime.
Right between
dime. And I said this yesterday, and I'm like, guys, he is throwing dimes while getting nailed. And you said at the beginning, Joe Flacco is washed, and I've seen people say Joe Flacco is washed. Are we saying he's washed if Jerry Jeudy just catches the football?
No, we're not.
Those were under duress. It's not like he just sat back there. The only possession he had time to throw was the scripted first drive.
Which, by the way, is the first time the script actually worked this season.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hey, you know what? You're just being negative this morning, Anthony. We have a positive from yesterday. The Browns scored in the first quarter for the first time this year, and they actually had a lead in a game.
Yeah, and credit to
albeit it was short-lived, but they did have a lead.
Flacco could not. They don't have a tush push. Flacco was basically their version of the tush push. He couldn't
that
get
goal
in.
line series, though, I'm like, how embarrassing is this going to be if they can't punch this thing in? I mean, thank goodness they scored on that.
Well, Judkins,
that would have been the ultimate embarrassment right there. You've got first and goal from inside the one, and you can't push it in.
And I do think Judkins is this. You see where he can be a weapon.
Yeah.
Because he's always falls forward. He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he is always finding whatever little sliver of
He's among
daylight.
the league leaders in yards after contact.
And you know what? Between him and Fannin too, if he actually catches the ball, Fannin is a load to bring down. He had one that got wiped out with a penalty, and then he had another one that he fought that I thought he got close to the first down.
By the way, these
gonna get a measurement here.
These rookies are why Andrew Berry's not getting fired.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, Daryl, because if they go 3-14,
if you hit on your 4 top rookie picks, how do you fire the GM for that? Because Carson Schlesinger is a hit. Quinshon Judkins looks like he's a hit. Harold Fannin Jr. is a hit. Mason Graham is a hit. Your first 4 picks in your class are hits there, Lima.
Well,
how do you fire the GM for that?
Ask John Dorsey. Ask John Dorsey what happens when you hit on a draft.
Here's how you fire him, and that is if Andrew Berry hires Freddie Kitchens back.
Okay, fair point. Fair point.
That'd be fun, though.
But there are a lot of people that were in my mentions yesterday saying Kevin Stfansky needs to go. We'll talk about it. 216-474-0092. They're already starting to line up about putting Dylan Gabriel in. Make your case, because I was going to tell you, Monday they watch film. Tuesday they're off. Wednesday, I don't even know if they're going to have a full practice because they're traveling.
They practice
to London.
Wednesday's a pseudo normal day for them, and then they'll hop on the plane Wednesday night for London. I think Thursday they're holding the walkthrough. Friday will be a practice.
Yeah, I don't
Saturday
think,
another walkthrough, and then the game.
I don't think the schedule sets up for them to make that QB change. Many people disagree. 216-474-0092. We'll get your reaction. Maybe some other things in Lima Likes coming up next. It's Daryl Ryder in for Ken Carman. I'm Anthony Lima here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
When there's news that affects
BetMGM.com.
There's a broken down vehicle on the ramp to 271 South from 77 South. Light traffic eastbound on 90 from Crocker to Euclid Avenue. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
Does Lima like?
Or does Lima no like?
Like?
Tell me likey. I'm liking it.
I like it a lot.
No like.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Like or no like. Like or no like.
But I definitely knew what I liked, and I definitely knew what I didn't like.
All right, obviously, just because I want to hear it.
Lima likes.
The Guardians made the postseason. Not only that,
Lima likes.
They won the division.
Lima likes.
They made history, 15 and a half games. You'll be hearing that all morning. Just improbable. And they were celebrating like no other. And they deserved it. We always wonder, hey, when teams kind of back their way in or when they lucked there was no luck involved. I mean, they went toe-to-toe. They beat Detroit. You know, they had the 6 games. They beat Skubal twice. Now you got to beat him again. 3rd time's a charm. Absolutely love it. So we'll start out with that. But
Lima no likes.
You guys want to make a change with the Cleveland Browns? I got a change for you. Bubba Ventron. You know, we do a lot of things in sports. We symbolically fire coaches and like the hitting coach. We said goodbye. Or in football, normally it's like, all right, offensive coordinator, done. You've seen teams do that. You've seen teams do that and win the Super Bowl mid-season. Daryl, you tell me, wouldn't it be easy at this point? If you want to find accountability, like real accountability, if you want to send a message to the veterans, isn't this an easy one with Bubba Ventron? You give up a 65-yard punt return for a touchdown. Basically, in 3 of the 4 games, your special teams have been abysmal. They've been some of the worst in the NFL.
When I think of Bubba Ventron and the awful job that he has done since being named associate head coach and special teams coordinator of this football team, I'm reminded of the line from Office Space. What is it that you would say you do here? Because I honestly, I don't know. He has lost the Browns more points than he has gained. The whole reason that they moved from Mike Prefer to Bubba Ventron was to make sure that stuff like we have watched for what feels like since he got here. Now, I asked him a couple weeks ago about that, and he was not real happy that I did not acknowledge the greatness that apparently happened on special teams in 2023. I must have missed that part of that season, but it's been awful. Here's the issue, though, Lima. If they fire Bubba Ventron, does that really accomplish anything?
No, I told you what I think it does is everybody's looking for accountability. And I know they're thinking accountability means just change the quarterback. I think there's going to be a lot of guys in that locker room go, really? We're going with him? But whatever. I mean, I
think that there are people in that locker room would rather they just go with Shedeur Sanders than
really?
Gabriel.
All right, well, that's a take we will investigate further. I will tell you that right now in the draft, Browns have
Lima likes
pick number 5 and
Lima no likes
22. What the hell's going on? Jacksonville's going to go on a tear here. They beat San Francisco. I know the 49ers have a lot of injuries, but it would be pick number 22 because the Jaguars end up winning that game yesterday, and you know they're in a division where they're going to win games.
I know.
So I love the trade. I love the trade, and have we waited? Did Travis Hunter do anything yesterday whatsoever, Daryl?
I don't think so because I don't remember seeing any highlights.
I can tell you
it's been a slow start for Travis.
5 targets. He did have 42 yards receiving. I don't think there's been much of anything in the way of his defensive prowess so far. I love the trade. We talked about Mason Graham. But if Jacksonville wins a bunch of games, the trade loses a little bit. It loses a little bit. Just a little bit of steam.
There's a major red flag right now with that draft positioning. 22nd pick. For the love of everything holy, it better not be a quarterback at 22.
At 22.
That's all I'm saying.
We do have a checkered path. I shouldn't say checkered. It's just been bad at number 22. When they pick a quarterback at 22, it's not good.
Lima, no like.
Yeah, that is not good at all. By the way, I'm looking at a mock draft right now, Walter Football, and they have the Browns with our own first pick. No, actually, they have it with Jacksonville's pick. They had it before the Jacksonville Jaguars won the game, so it's not updated. They had them taking a quarterback by the name of Mendoza. Mendoza at Indiana. Why do I mention this? Because he ran backwards to win a football game on Saturday in Iowa to pull off the win. But in doing so, it cost a lot of people a lot of money because the spread was hanging in the balance. Mendoza apologized for that.
I mean, whatever it takes to win the game. Coach said, hey, take a safety, run through the back of the end zone. And I didn't ever want to put our team in jeopardy where maybe if I slid, with 1 second left, there could be some type of quirk that would be called and we have to punt it or do something on 4th down. I know I probably, obviously shouldn't be saying this, but I know I probably cooked people's spreads and stuff like that. And I really apologize for that. However, at that moment, my goal was to win the game. And for us, we're always looking for the Indiana money line, which is a win.
Listen, gambling. When did we ever, in the history of college sports, have quarterbacks openly laughing about point spreads, money lines, and all of that? And just another reality. If you woke up from a coma in the year 2025, your college football, it's not your dad's college football anymore.
Hey, I respect the self-awareness. I really do.
That alone, is that going to be enough for fans to say, hey, you know what? I want that quarterback on my team?
No, because you're going to be cooking people's spreads.
You're going to be well, Browns fans should know better. They should know better when gambling on the Cleveland Browns. Meanwhile, it was great theater, but
I'm a no likes.
I didn't watch much of this until yesterday, but the Ryder Cup, the team USA, the United States, they rallied. It was a feverish rally, but they fell short. Daryl, was this on your radar at all over the weekend?
What, the Ryder Cup was going on?
While Rory McIlroy's poor wife
where I was with the Ryder
was
Cup.
Getting pelted with drinks. It was a bunch of FUs. The crowd, let me tell you something. The crowd was tremendous at Bethpage. Those East Coasters were tremendous. They were trying to be the 11th man in this situation, but it wasn't enough. Also,
was it true the president was walking with the golfers?
Was he?
Did that happen?
I mean, imagine.
You're breaking news to me, Daryl.
This seems to be an event he would go to, right?
This seems to be an event he'd want to play in.
Maybe we could have used him. I've seen his swing. His swing and his putting.
He's very good at laying up.
The short game, Daryl, the short game with President Trump has been amazing. And enough. I had probably 125 people send me the same tweet about they were not allowing skiing at the event. I saw the tweets. You don't have to be the 500th person to send me the tweet.
Rory McIlroy upset with the fans.
That bunker's looking tasty.
Guys, shut the up.
It was amazing.
Go back to your shanties.
Listen, this was the type of golf I can get behind. Not only did it's cloaked in faux patriotism, as if all of a sudden people care about that when it comes to golfers.
Patriotism, Anthony.
Yes, the faux patriotism was amazing.
Put the bunting up.
I got to tell you, if they had this at Firestone, I'm doing this over going to a Browns game. I am doing this. This looked amazing.
Well, I think you're doing a lot of things over going to a Browns game these days.
My bandwagon, though, I got to say, my Baker bandwagon took a hit. It was a comeback attempt. I did say that Fox needed to switch the game. The Browns were getting beat in the fourth quarter. The game was over. They were going to Dylan Gabriel. I was like, put Baker on.
Yeah, but they would have switched just in time to watch Baker throw the pick.
Okay, so it was a throwback 2019 Baker interception. He ran around trying to make
You're doing too much, kid. Yeah,
he did. It reminded me of Baker in college, and it's worked for him this year. He's had a lot of dropped interceptions, so luck has been on his side so far this season. I still like what I see. I'm still on the bandwagon. I'm not jumping off the Baker bandwagon. Yes. If we had Baker, what is our record this year with Baker Mayfield?
At least 500.
God, I feel like
they certainly wouldn't be losing games 35 to 10.
I feel like they
34 to 10.
Cincinnati 35 to 10 if Baker's here.
Yeah, they would have crushed them.
Yeah,
they would have crushed them. One final note. It's not going to be Taylor Swift for the halftime show. Was it confirmed yesterday that it is indeed Bad Bunny?
Who?
The girl from Dr. Phil?
You can't say who. He's one of the most famous dudes on the planet, Daryl. Come on. It's bad. Yeah.
I remember her. I couldn't name a single song.
She's like worth like $50 million.
OnlyFans will get you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, though. I don't know a song of his either, but that Shrek sketch from SNL.
Yeah,
it was great.
Daryl, you can't say who's that. He was in Happy Gilmore too.
I know that.
That's right. He was. Did you like him? I didn't think he was great. Did you think he was great?
He was no Travis
really good
Kelce.
In that Shrek sketch from SNL.
He was funny on SNL. He had a few sketches, but he's going to be the halftime performer, leading probably most of this audience to go, I'm not watching. I'm not. Anytime it's hip hop or rap, because it was Kendrick Lamar last year.
Well, and it's going to be in Spanish too. So
yes, he will have Spanish.
That's where most of his songs are. Yes.
So maybe
I'll sit there and patiently await all of my elder family members and their opinions.
The Guardians Clubhouse will be thrilled.
Well,
they'll be loving it.
We have the SAP button on the remote. Are we going to get one for an English translation during the halftime show?
Watch it, Daryl. I don't need the president tweeting about the language. I don't need any of that right now.
I just want to know what he's singing. That's all.
All right, maybe during the break, let's listen to some Bad Bunny. I'm sure Daryl's heard one of the songs. He's had to have
probably
heard. He's doing the Super Bowl, Daryl.
I just can't name any of his. Just can't name any of his music.
All right, Guardians are celebrating still. How long can they celebrate? Because they got to turn around
Tuesday
and go up against the best pitcher in baseball. Something they've done before. They have a 1:00 game on Tuesday. Tickets on sale. I imagine you better get in early or it's going to sell out.
Pre-sale started last Friday, so you better start looking now.
Playoff fever. It is back. Hopefully we do have an October to remember. 216-474-0092. We'll get into the magic that was the Guardians, but do they have to win the series to validate what they just pulled off? And do the Browns need to make a quarterback change? That's all straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. XDENDAV.com. Extend.
you're going to struggle as a whole.
In the loss, 3 turnovers leading to 17 points, and the Browns fall to 1-3 on the year. Don't miss the Browns preview show tonight, followed by Monday Night Football. It starts at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive, weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
We just believe in each other. We believe in the process. We work really, really hard. We prepare really hard. We feel like we're the most prepared team in baseball. And it's exhausting to prepare like we do every single day. 162 games is a lot. And it just made it all worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely. We envisioned it the whole time. We knew where we were trying to go. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew it wasn't, last year we were in first place the whole year. And we knew it was going to be a little bit more difficult this year. And it was. But boy, is it worth it.
Austin Hedges of your Cleveland Guardians, playoff bound once again. They won the division. Honestly, if somebody was listening to this show back on, was it July 5th? Was that when they lost their 10th straight?
That was when the ball went through Naylor's legs in the 9th. The Tigers end up winning like 5-2 and 10. But we had a 1-0 lead going into the 9th of that game. They lost their 10th in a row that day.
Look at the memory. Look at baseball guy Owen. I mean, giving us nitty-gritty baseball from way back when they were at their low point.
I got to say it, Anthony, I like the team. I do. I like to go to baseball games. I like to watch the Guardians play. I like to drink beat boxes.
I
like 11% alcohol.
I'm amazed you can remember anything.
I'm just impressed with the mass consumption of the beat boxes that Owen is still able to remember.
It's incredible. And by the way, Austin Hedges, your last 7 days, he's batting .429. Last 15 days, .333. Hell, last 30 days, .250, which is a huge improvement. So, folks, it's called momentum in the biz. Austin Hedges has it. Plus, who catches a better game? Who calls a better game than Austin Hedges behind the dish right now? I mean, he has been fantastic. He's one of those guys, like even on the national broadcast from Saturday night, he was one of those that gets interviewed.
Yep.
He's getting the run. He is great.
He called the team meeting a couple weeks ago to get everybody in line.
They're preparing those guys down in Texas or in Colorado or wherever he's going to end up being the manager of in the next 3
Right.
years. Like, they're getting him ready to see Austin Hedges.
They're grooming him. Well, that's Vogt said. If he wants to do it, he can absolutely do it. And
some of your best managers are former catchers.
And what a terrific job, I mean, the Vogt has been able to do. And we'll get to Browns here, but this is awesome. This is so much fun. And I know it changes in a blink of an eye in baseball, because there's no quicker postseason than Major League Baseball. I mean, how many more teams are going to be eliminated by Wednesday or Thursday? In the wild card round.
Wednesday evening, there could be a lot of teams out of the race already.
But that's why we celebrate these things. That's why baseball. I feel like we've always operated a little differently, but part of the reason why it's easy to just sit there with your arms folded and go, well, they're not going to win the World Series, is because
they might win the World Series. You can't win it if you're not in.
Just ask the Mets.
Right?
Just ask a team like the Rangers, who you just finished off. They made things difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a little harder than we thought it would be.
They won the World Series 2 years ago?
They did. And what was their payroll this season? North of $200 million, Daryl, and they are at home. So
spending guarantees you nothing. In sports,
listen, you are preaching to the choir, especially when it comes to this
Exhibit
baseball
A,
team.
I give you the Cleveland Browns, because they spend a ton of money. They're spending over $300 million on their team, and they're losing games 34-10. So, you can be all hung up on the ownership isn't spending here in Cleveland, but you know what? You're missing the joy of what was a historic season. No team has ever come back from 15 and a half down. 1914 Braves, 15 games back. Just to put that in perspective. Over a century ago. So come back from 15 and a half down to, and it's not like they tied the Tigers but had the tiebreaker to win the division. No, they won it outright. Rochio's 3-run bomb yesterday won it for them outright. They finished one full game ahead of the Tigers. They finish off the Tigers this week, send them home for the winter. I think that fans should really appreciate what this ball club did this year.
Well, Daryl, they've given Clevelanders a reason to believe. How often? I'm not talking about the belief, the delusional belief that, we start out every year.
Like the Browns in training camp?
Yeah, every year in training camp, we have a delusional belief. This team actually gives you a reason to believe. I always say this, for all the teams in our lives that underachieve, right? And there have been so many. And really, it defines a lot of, what we do in sports. That, especially in sports talk radio, we crush teams for underachieving. They didn't do it. They couldn't pull it off. We had a belief in them, but it was a fake belief. This team is overachieving, and I'm always going to side with the teams that overachieve. I'm always going to remember the teams that overachieve. And yeah, part of it was the fact that they dropped 10 in a row and that they did lose another 9 in a row and that they had these bad spells. So they gave people a lot of reason to jump off, but they also gave you a reason to get back on. And that is what I'm going to remember about this team the most. And now they have the postseason ahead of them. They have an opportunity to make even more history. A team that has, on paper, no chance. On paper, you look at this team and their lineup. Mind you, how many of these guys in the lineup weren't even with the team, at the halfway point of the year? They were down in the minors. They were in Columbus. Now they're here. They got a shot. You'd always rather be this team than the teams that are eliminated. So that's why I don't understand anybody side-eyeing this team or anybody who wants to jump to the conclusion like, well, they're just going to lose because they don't have a payroll. All right, but they're here. They're here right now. We're still talking about them. How many teams in baseball right now wouldn't give everything to sign up for what the Guardians are about to embark on?
100%. And this is the argument I make with the run that the Cavaliers are on right now. You'd rather root for them to lose in the hopes that you collect ping pong balls to win an NBA draft lottery?
It's not this sport.
What are we doing here? Enjoy it. Yes, the goal is to win a championship. No question about it. Raise the trophy, hold a parade. I understand that. But when you just look through sports through that one singular lens of, Cleveland hasn't won a World Series since 1948, and they're not going to this year because they don't spend any money and they can't hit, and they're one of the worst offenses in Major League Baseball, and everything's just negative. The sky is falling. They won their division. It was a historic season.
They didn't luck their way into it. They didn't back their way into it.
Would you rather sit here and complain that the Browns lost by 24 points in Detroit yesterday? And we're having the same conversation we've had since 1999 about the singular most important position in the sport? Or would you rather enjoy and celebrate a historic achievement, another opportunity to potentially get back to the World Series? You can't get there if you ain't in it. They're in it. And Stephen Vogt might win Manager of the Year for a second straight year. I would argue he should win Manager of the Year for a second straight year for the job he did. Now, did they go out and win 95 games? Did they dominate the league? No. But that's what makes this so fun and special. The fact that they were the lowest of the lows. I was holding funerals on Sunday afternoons for the Guardians during their 10-game and 9-game losing streaks.
Everybody but Owen. Everybody but Owen.
I was trying to talk myself into that they were going to turn it around, but my last Sunday show, I gave them last right. Little reverse psychology, because every time...
I like that. Did you reverse jinx them?
I did, because every time I would do that on the Sunday show, they would get hot. And I'm like, all right, so we're going to end this with, you know what? Season's over. They're not going to make the playoffs. I hope you enjoy your baseball season. Let's pray that the Cleveland Browns don't embarrass us for 17 weeks, which that clearly has gone out the window. And then, lo and behold, they end up coming back and finishing off what was a historic run and winning the division. And, Skubal, here's the thing. They're going to face Skubal tomorrow. I'm not the least bit worried.
Not the least bit. Now that is some confidence.
No, I'm not the least bit worried, because they've handled him in the last 2 weeks. Like we talked about last hour. We know what happened the last time he pitched at Progressive Field. The ballpark's going to be packed. The fans are going to be whipped into a frenzy, right? I don't have, like I had in the 90s when like the Indians would have to go up against Pedro Martinez or Roger Clemens, where it's like, yeah, okay, well, let's look at game 2 and what it's going to take to win. Now, I'm not the least bit nervous about tomorrow's game 1 with Skubal on the mound. Do I respect him? Yes. But I don't have the fear of God in me thinking about, okay, the Guardians going to have to win the final 2 games of the series because I'm conceding game 1 to the Tigers. I'm not doing that.
Well, Daryl, not only that, he's a nice guy. What do we know about nice guys in sports?
They finished last.
Kevin in Georgia, go ahead. How are you, Kevin?
I'm really excited about the Guardians. I think they've had a fantastic year. To say they can't hit, I mean, they scored 9 runs yesterday.
Boom.
They've scored more.
I'm sorry, they can't hit
runs.
Consistently. How about that? Or they don't hit consistently.
No, they don't. But baseball's a long season. I'm excited because they're trending in the right direction at the end of the year. So maybe they do something crazy. We don't know. But what the Guardians have is talent and consistency in the front office. You go from Shapiro to Chris Antonetti these are talented people that know how to put good players on the field.
Amen.
The exact opposite of what the Browns have had since they came back. I mean, they tried to shortcut it in '99 with the guy from the 49ers, and then you go on from there, and they've had Ken Dorsey and I think some people that have known what they're doing. But what we have now is just a failure at a level that is almost inconceivable. I mean, this team was gutted 4 years ago with that trade. They haven't really made any effort to make the offense any better. You see that every Sunday. And it's not going to get better this year or probably next year. I mean, the defense is great. The defense was good 5 years ago. So that really hasn't changed.
Kevin, do you like, we got to move. Do you like the Guardians in this series? Are you picking them to move on?
I'm excited. I think they beat the Tigers, no problem. And then I think they play, the Mariners?
Yeah.
That'll be good. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm going to watch every game. And I didn't watch the second half of the Browns because I knew it was going to happen. So there's the difference.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And look, I know it's just going to happen, Daryl. We got to go. So I know it's going to happen. There's going to be comparisons. On a day like today, it's going to be normal, right? You have one team that had no chance in the second half of a football game in a league where everybody has a chance. Everybody is always within a score. You've had 2 of those games already this year. And on the other side, you've got a team that has defied everything that we think we know about baseball, and they have had a magical run. And they're playing their best at the time that they need to, at the time where it matters the most. So the comparisons are going to be hard to ignore today, and that's why I absolutely love it. That's why I led with them. When do we on a Monday not lead Browns? We went with the Guardians. They didn't just deserve it. They earned it. 216-474-0092. All right, I want to hear from it. I want to hear from the fans. You making the move. Is this the time to change up the quarterback? I don't think it is. I think I'm going to be in the minority. I want to hear from you next. Daryl is in for Ken Carmen. We got Jason Lloyd at 8 o'clock from The Athletic later in the show. Anthony Kastrovitz at 9 o'clock, MLB. We have got a lot of baseball for you all morning long, but we'll get to the Browns next year on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
First
yards, touchdown. The Steelers now 3-1. Meanwhile, the Ravens lose in Kansas City 37-20. Patrick Mahomes passed for 4 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson of Baltimore left in the third quarter with a hamstring injury. Don't miss the Browns preview show, followed by Monday Night Football. All starts tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
So the Guardians are surging upward. The Browns going in the opposite direction before their trip to London as they fall yesterday. And it was not particularly close. 34-10. You know, I was hanging around. We had to go to the in-laws yesterday. And
what would you rather do? Go to the in-laws or watch the Browns play football?
Well, this was the other thing. I didn't know if the in-laws would have the Guardians game. And their cable, turns out they did not. So now the game ended up being not as consequential because of what was going on with Detroit and Boston. But
you want to know how I knew the Guardians won yesterday?
How's that?
I heard the fireworks.
That's right. Daryl is downtown.
Congratulations on all your
Daryl's
success.
living my life now that I had 5 years ago.
That's how I knew they won.
So you could have.
I'm in the middle of editing the postgame because Baskin and I, we do our postgame wrap up on YouTube, and so I'm wrapping all that up.
Great.
And
if you subscribe, then you get it right away.
Absolutely. And I hear the fireworks going off. I go,
So you knew.
Guardians won. All right.
So you could have had a celebratory beatbox right there with everybody.
I probably should have had a celebratory beatbox.
You should, Daryl. You should have ran over there and celebrated in the clubhouse. I think you get to drink free.
I was
open your mouth.
I got the email. I was not among the folks that would have been allowed in the clubhouse.
Oh, come on. What are they going to hold you back? They're going to hold Daryl Ryder
They'd
back?
see you and they'd be like, no, Daryl,
Get on in here. Get your goggles. Let's start celebrating.
Bring your own. You got to bring your own ski goggles. So.
Yeah. I do have.
I got those. That's fine.
I do have my own.
Ski goggles are for different.
Anyway, so
my favorite celebratory moment
bills
of all time was when CC Sabathia grabbed me from behind and dumped an entire bottle of champagne down my shirt.
Yes.
And then
Where's that video?
And then he finished the bottle off on my head. And I left that clubhouse just soaked.
Can we ask now that Josh Naylor's gone, who drank the most? Do we have an idea? Or maybe this trimmed down, fast, sleek version of Josh Naylor.
I don't know how quickly you can get there, but we're gonna power rank it right now.
So I'm thinking Hedges is up there, right?
He's got to be up there.
He's got to be up there.
Yeah. Manzardo.
Oh boy,
I put a lot on Manzardo.
You know who I think really should be in there? Stephen Vogt.
I bet Voter got after it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Voter was getting after the shaking the champagne and the beer.
Yeah,
he might have gotten after it.
That's a good one. Do we have any ideas who drank the least?
Stephen Kwan.
Why do you say that, Owen?
I think he went immediately back out in the left field and just started bouncing balls off the wall to find out the angles and the caroms and how he's going to get the ball in.
Smart.
The guy's a ball player.
He's a baseball guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was obviously a lot of fun. But what I was saying when I'm sitting there with Mason, I got my 20 months coming up in a few days. So he's bored. I feel so bad. It was so nice out, and he kept going.
Well, he can see when offenses don't have it.
And he knew. But he kept saying outside. That's one of the few words that he has command of, and it's outside. He wants to go outside. And I feel like, unfortunately, I'm torturing him. I'm making him stay in. And my wife has my daughter in this running series on Sundays, which I will never go to. So it's like a little dash. I'll show you the video during the break. And since you guys show me your baseball and your football and your wrestling,
that's what I want to see.
You'll get to see that
3-year-old run.
So she said, hey, we're going to the in-laws because they have all family in town. And I'm like, well, I have to wait until the game is lopsided. And it was close. Like, it was within 10, right? The whole time.
It was close until the punt return.
And then the
it was
punt
over.
return.
It was 20-10. You know what? You can blame this one on me.
Finally.
You can blame it on me because I posted on X, hey, going to the fourth quarter, do the Browns have a second straight 10-point comeback in them, right? And then bang. 65-yard punt return, and we just had our answer, and that is absolutely not, because it is now a 17-point deficit, and this ball game is over because I don't think the Browns have scored 27 points the entire season.
That was the thing. And I want to hear from the fans. 216-474-0092. Give me your reasons. Give me your reasons beyond Flacco's washed. I'm going to need your reasons why you think it makes sense to make the move to Gabriel, because I will make the counter argument. And Daryl, I know you're on with Andy yesterday.
Guys that can't catch, and he doesn't have any tackles that can block. So I don't know how it's going to get any better.
We'll get to that. But I saw in that game, so Flacco was under duress, and I made the point earlier in the show, if you're just joining us. I felt like he was going up against 2 Myles Garrett's because of his tackle situation. It was every time. They were breaking down every time, and the screens weren't keeping them at bay. They tried to as best they could. They tried to go with the old Kubiak rollouts.
Yep.
None of those. There were guys in his face. I mean, every time, and he was still. You guys could tell me you were watching a different game than me. I guess I thought he was putting the ball on the freaking money when they were down and they knew they were going to pass. The defense, they were the quintessential pinning the ears back. They were coming after him, and he was putting it on guys' hands. I mean, the fan in play, I still remember Judy. How many more of those did you see? And yet, everybody said, well, it's easy. Make the change. Make the change. Change the quarterback. Change the quarterback. And now the stats will come out today, and when I get them, I will relay them to you, the analytical numbers on how under pressure he was, because I said I think it's going to end up that he was one of the most rushed quarterbacks in all of football yesterday, and I thought he was putting the ball on the money. I know the first interception, inexplicable. Okay,
and also Jerry Jeudy, instead of crying about a flag that didn't come, touched the guy down.
He gave up on the play.
Yeah,
the second interception, he gave up on the play. Not only that, I mean, you want to talk about two guys that are not on the same page. I mean, Flacco and Jeudy not on the same page. And I'll give Jeudy credit afterwards. We played it earlier. We don't have to play it again because it was all expletives that we had to beep out. But he took ownership over it. I mean, he did. He didn't blame the quarterback. Also, Joe Flacco, he took ownership. He said the stuff was on him.
I do want to play, though. Kevin was asked in the postgame, though. He was asked on if all the blame was on Flacco. This is his response.
Again, respectfully, we didn't do enough on offense.
So that was quick, right?
Yeah.
That was his way of saying, no, it wasn't all Joe's fault.
They asked him again, does Flacco give you the best chance to win?
Yeah, again, it's never going to be about one person. It's just not. And we're not doing a good enough job. I'll put myself in there as well. We have to be better.
The Stfansky translator says, yeah, the entire offense stinks.
Well, I think he's going to keep it open this week. For what purpose? It is to keep Minnesota guessing, because they are two totally different quarterbacks, right? And
yes, I'm sure they're going to put the fear of God in the Vikings at the prospect of starting Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't think it really is that much of a strategic advantage. But
if they do that, that's the Browns doing what the Browns always do, and that's major in the minor. Stuff that does not matter. And again, I said it last hour, it does not matter who the starting quarterback is. You still have very little chance to win. Your season high scoring is 17. You scored 16 points, 13 points, and yesterday 10 points. You're averaging 14. There are 3 other Browns teams since 1999 that have averaged fewer points per ball game. The 99 and 2000 and 2011 Browns average fewer points per game than this current team is averaging. It's pathetic. It's beyond pathetic. We talk about the Guardians and how historically good they have been in their run. The Browns are historically bad. And this is not an expansion team. It's not. Now, the offensive line right now looks like an expansion team, at least on the edges.
And that's Conklin missed again. He missed another game.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Batonio, who can't walk, going out there and putting the jersey on.
Well, the problem for Conklin is it's an elbow, and what are you doing as an offensive lineman? You're reaching, you're grabbing, you're trying to steer and control people. You have to be able to use your arms, and the elbow. It's unfortunate. Jack Conklin, when he is healthy, he's an all-pro player. but he has been as fragile as a China bowl since getting here. It really does. It's unfortunate.
And Minnesota can get to the quarterback too. I mean, all these teams. It's amazing.
It's just it's not getting any better with them going to London.
I know. Now the good news is their offensive line is banged up, and Carson Wentz, if he is the starter, he's going to turn the ball over. Myles Garrett's going to take the ball from him. So your defense is going to give you every opportunity.
Hey,
in London
Denzel
to win
Ward
that
had
game.
an interception yesterday playing center field. So 2 straight weeks, the defense has created a turnover.
All right, let's go to the phones. Patrick in Hudson. So you're saying make the change. Do you make the change?
Good morning, fellas. 200% make the change. I'm not saying that Dylan Gabriel is going to fix everything on the offense, but you simply can't keep rolling out Joe Flacco on this offense. You simply can't. That man limits you so much on offense. And when you talk about how bad the offensive line play looks, again, I'm not saying that the O-line is this top 10 line, but when you have a statue back there, when this guy's feet weighs 1,000 pounds and he is incapable of maneuvering from the pocket, your offensive line is going to look horrible when you just stay in there and can't. All the benefits of having a veteran are non-existent with this veteran. There's no benefit to ever playing this guy.
I mean, he's given wide receivers a chance, though. You can't say that he is not standing tall in the pocket and firing to these receivers and giving them opportunities.
Listen, he's making the ultimate quarterback sin, hitting guys in the hands with the football.
You think every throw this guy makes is out of the money with the football?
I thought, honestly, after the 2 interceptions and the second one I didn't put on him at all. I thought Judy showed no fight whatsoever. I thought after that he was putting it on guys. I thought guys had opportunities to catch, and they let him down.
He
had guys draped Patrick, he had guys draped all over him. His right tackle was getting beat did you not hear Vilma say, I can't even believe this guy is still standing, the way guys are coming after him?
Maybe one time you've seen Flacco.
No, it was more than one, dude. It was more than one time. He will be, when the stats come out, one of the most pressured quarterbacks all week. Like, he was under fire. And so if you're telling me that, all right,
I think the term you're looking for, Lem, is under siege.
Yes, and Dylan Gabriel is more mobile. Let's not make Dylan Gabriel out to be some running quarterback.
He's not Drew Brees. Let's slow the roll here.
Well, he's also not Michael Vick. I think people think because Dylan Gabriel,
he's not Lamar Jackson,
is going to be able to.
By the way, is hurt.
I think people think he's going to be able to run away from pressure. Guys, rookie quarterbacks have trouble when offensive lines break down. Look at what's happening with Cam Ward, and Cam Ward has way more talent. Than Dylan Gabriel. So Dylan Gabriel, might he be able to avoid the first guy? Sure. What do we also know about rookie quarterbacks? They run themselves into trouble. So wait till you see the sack. How many times was Flacco sacked yesterday in total? Because the pressures were off the charts. Like guys were again hanging all over him as he's hitting Harold Fannin and Jerry Jeudy on the hands. So total sack number
3
yesterday. It was 3.
Just 3. Hey,
what
that
do you
seems
think?
Low.
Let me tell you something. If it would have been Dylan Gabriel yesterday, with all his mobility, it would have been 7. Because that's what happens with rookie quarterbacks. Let's go to Marcus. You're next up on the Fan. Go ahead, Marcus. Marcus, you're next on the Fan.
Oh, hey, how you doing, guys?
What's up?
Man, listen, I've been watching Cleveland football for so many years. I'm just disappointed in the quarterback play, the coaching, the play calling, everything. I mean, if you look at the Cleveland Browns offensive line, watching bad football from week to week, man.
All right, thanks for the call. I don't know, fired up, would that have mattered yesterday? Is it a matter of firing people up when
I don't think
your tackles are getting beat?
Yeah, I don't think a Kevin Stfansky speech is going to teach the left and right tackle how to block. I don't think a Kevin Stfansky speech is going to help Jerry Jeudy catch a football. I don't.
Well, and the special teams. Yeah. He probably doesn't have a whole lot to do with special teams.
Yeah. I don't think a speech is going to help the special teams know how to take the right pursuit angles.
He does. He does have his stamp on the offense. It's his offense. But how do you conduct an offense when you have a hand tied behind your back? With yes, you have a statue at quarterback, and you've got offensive linemen that are getting beat on every play. I mean again, you can change the quarterback. I think you're going to have a rookie 3rd rounder that is going to be running for his life. Oh, who do you want me to go to?
Go to Jim.
Let's go to Jim and Perry. You're next up on the Fan. How are you?
Go Guards.
Absolutely.
I'll start off with that. So I absolutely, I'm disgusted in more than one way about this team. One, I'm more disgusted that the Browns and that front office and the owner has been gaslighting us into thinking that over the last 2 years, this is the best team that they can come up with. It's never going to change. I'm done with it all. I'm done. Trade Garrett, trade Denzel, we have an opportunity to actually do a pretty decent rebuild next year with 2 first-round picks. What has Andrew Berry or this analytical department, if this analytical department was in any other entity in the public workforce, they would be fired. We don't win. We have no offense. We have no tackles. Our coach runs peewee plays. We have guys who can't. You have receivers who cannot catch the football. We have a quarterback who looks like he is in slow motion. And they're gaslighting you and us into telling us that this is the best that they can come up with. Is Joe Flacco the best they could come up with?
Well, honestly, financially, they didn't have $15 million to pay Daniel Jones. They were up against the cap. They did have to go with a cheaper option.
And why were they up against the cap?
Because they made the worst trade in NFL history.
And I have been calling this for 3 years, and Ken has been on my case about it. And this is I just honestly.
Well, hold on. He didn't want. Thanks for the call. He didn't want. I mean, he thought Deshaun Watson was an upgrade over Baker, but he didn't want to make the move. That was one of the fights that we got into. I wanted to make the move. I, along with half the league, wanted to go get Deshaun Watson. And it was wrong. And you're paying the price. You're paying the price now. They could not. There were a lot of rumors about Kirk Cousins, that they were trying to get Cousins. I think we do know Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I mean, he showed up in Westlake and everyone lost their mind, right? Remember that? Everyone's doing the Kirk Cousins Westlake tracker, just like the Bill Cowher house in Strongsville.
Now, I don't know how they would have made that move either financially because of the cap situation. Kenny Pickett, we're going to come back to, and a lot's going to be written, and Jason Lloyd is joining us at 8 o'clock, so he'll take us deeper into that. But I think Kenny Pickett was the guy, but he injured his hammy. So that was it for him in training camp. All right, we're going to kill about last night. We'll get to the phones. You guys are locked and loaded. It's been a lot on Joe Flacco. I understand that. I'll just ask you this. Would we be saying Joe Flacco looked washed if Judy or Fannin held on to those balls yesterday? Could have been a different game. I'll hear from you guys next here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima.
Fan.
Traffic brought to you by Lake Erie Carbon Free Challenge, sponsored by NOACA. Don't go stacked of transportation in October. Try walking, biking, or taking transit to get to work, school, or other destinations, and log your trips on GoHio Commute to participate in the Lake Erie Go Carbon Free Challenge, sponsored by NOACA. Reduce your emissions to improve air quality.
92.3 The Fan has the most local sports talk in town, and you can be a part of it anytime you want. Weigh in on X at 92.3 The Fan and see our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
And it almost feels like that touchdown was worth 14 points, right? The way this game has been going for the Browns offense, as hard as the Browns defense have been playing, you can't overcome these types of errors. 2 turnovers by the Browns offense, a special teams touchdown given up. It's unfortunately what bad teams do, right? They find ways to lose when you're on the road. You have to find ways to win. Browns right now doing the opposite of that, and the Lions making them pay.
That's Jonathan Vilma. Audio courtesy of Fox. During the game, I heard that. I'm like, we need that. We need that immediately. I actually thought Vilma was... I think he struggled at times in the past. I thought he was decent yesterday, except when he was talking about Flacco and that one interception. And he was like, good, he deserves it. I'm like, all right. I didn't love that coming from Vilma, but I think maybe some Browns fans were thinking the same thing yesterday, as I am definitely in the minority. I get it. And Jason Lloyd is going to join us in 13 minutes. All the callers want a quarterback change. I'm seeing a lot of how could it possibly be worse. I will say the numbers are in. So sometimes I talk out of my you-know-what on these things, and then...
Well, the official box score backed you up. 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. He was a pinata yesterday in Detroit.
So I said when the analytical numbers come out, I think Flacco will lead the NFL in pressures and all that stuff. Again, I had nothing to back that up, but I do have the numbers now. It turns out, passing summary, he was, according to the analytics, the most pressured quarterback based on dropbacks. I did have the same person who sent me this, Cleve TA, did say his 2.95 TTT, whatever the hell that is, basically the amount of time you have to throw. He said it's actually that's a normal time. Now I will.
So is this where you do your champions pose?
No.
Right.
I will make the point that I think he hangs in there, and he will. It kind of reminds me, honestly, of old Joe Flacco, but Big Ben. Big Ben would stay there when he lost his mobility at the end. Right. He would sit in there, and guys would be at his knees, guys would be on his shoulders, and he would still be throwing the football. So he will hang in there as long as he possibly can to try to deliver the football. And so what people are telling me is, well, get somebody that's more mobile like Dylan Gabriel, and it's going to alleviate that. But a rookie that's more mobile, and again, he's not Michael Vick, he's not Lamar Jackson.
It's true.
He's also going to run himself, into NFL pressures just on a different level. Like guys show up and you're not expecting it. And so Joe Flacco was sacked how many times yesterday? 3?
Hit 9 others.
I think with Dylan Gabriel it could be 7, because that's what happens. That's why do you think Deshaun Watson, who's way more mobile than Joe Flacco, why do you think he gets sacked 5 times, 6 times, 7 times?
He runs himself into them.
Yes. It's not as easy as more mobility, and this is a tough week. You're going up against the Vikings, and who is their defensive coordinator? Brian Flores, who comes up with some of the most diabolical blitzing schemes you can imagine. And you think a rookie on what is a short week? It essentially is a short week. They're not going to have a normal practice on Wednesday, from what I was told. And you are heading out to London. I do not think this is the week they make the move. Had they have lost to Green Bay, I will forever wonder if they would have made the move at that point. But they won the game, and Flacco was terrible in that game. Except when, on the fourth quarter drive, when they needed him to make that throw, he did. But
I know when they're going to make the move.
All right, you tell me, Daryl.
I know.
Because Jason Lloyd is saying, make it now.
I in my head, I know when they're making the move. It's after the Steelers game. Joe will take the beating in Minnesota and Pittsburgh, and then they'll make the move.
So you don't think if he's abysmal in London.
Do you really want Dylan Gabriel starting his first NFL game in a place you haven't won a regular season game since the Reagan administration?
It's not ideal. It is not ideal. I
okay, I'm joking.
That.
It was Bush too, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
All right. Wade in Cleveland. Go ahead, Wade. You're next up on the Fan.
Okay, yeah. How y'all doing?
What's up?
Hey, listen.
First of all, yes, I think there should be a change. And why? Like I said, we already know what we're going to get from Joe Flacco, what we done got, okay? And like you saying about Dylan Gabriel, you or I or nobody don't know what that man going to bring when he get his opportunity, just like anybody else when they get opportunity at a job, okay? And then and especially another play caller also as well. I'm tired of hearing Stfansky. I'm tired of seeing with that clipboard. He had one good drive every year like he did last year, okay? And then the same speech, okay, we got to do better, okay? And then you see how Quincy Johnson was running that ball, man. He was literally dragging people, man.
All right, thank you, Wade. I will say Judkins has really impressed me with his ability to play through contact. He's finding yeah, oh my God, Fannin is a bulldozer. He is really hard to bring down. Judkins is seeing stuff that on TV I'm like, there's no hole. There's no hole. And he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. I think, last week he led the league in yards after contact. He is finding holes. The only thing, it's going to be impossible not to compare to Nick Chubb. The only thing he clearly does not have to me is the breakaway speed.
The second gear, yeah.
Had he have had that, he would have been drafted in the first round. He's a second round running back. I think he's really good. Samson, I don't know. I think
he's a catch the ball out of the backfield guy.
Yeah, I'm not as enamored with Samson. I know everybody, because of the first week, he had all those targets. The only reason he had all those targets was because they didn't have a running back.
They couldn't run the ball.
Yeah.
That was their way of running the ball.
Yeah, I'm not as enamored with Samson. Judkins is the keeper. That guy is good. That guy's going to score touchdowns on the goal line. I think it's going to be an automatic.
Which this year, touchdowns are at a premium with this team.
100%. Let's go to... Are we out of time? All right, Rel, sorry about that. Go ahead, Rel.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Hey, you got to change the quarterback. I mean,
do you think it'll make a difference?
I mean, I don't know if it'll make a difference, but at least it'll show us what we have moving forward in the young fellas. I mean, everybody talks about two first round picks next year and going and get another quarterback. If you ask me, it'll be the dumbest thing in the world to be focusing on drafting another quarterback in the first round and you don't even know what you have in the two that you just drafted this year.
Well, they're gonna go to him. The question is when.
But listen, I would have did it last week. I mean, we won last week, and it wasn't because of Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe Flacco put a can of corn up yesterday that you can't. That's unforgivable, bro. Like, you just don't do that. And as far as like him being under pressure, I won't listen. I'm not going to argue that any quarterback he's no good when he's under pressure, right? No quarterback. But where was this energy last year for Deshaun Watson? And I'm no Deshaun Watson apologist, but after every Monday when I listen to you guys, it was Deshaun Watson sucks. But you also had
the reason Deshaun was under so much pressure is because he couldn't read the defense and didn't know where he wanted to go with the football.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. But guess what? The manager you have now just don't have it anymore. He don't know. I don't know if he can't read defenses, he can't move, he can't run, and he just doesn't have it anymore. And will somebody please tell Kevin Stfansky to start running the bootleg, the play action bootleg?
Well, I'm with you, man. Thank you. The bootleg it's not fooling anybody, and we know that Joe is not the most fleet of foot. Guys are in his face, and it feels like, remember when Baker used to run those before the league kind of figured it out?
Yeah.
It felt like either Baker could run it, or at the next level he could throw it, or down the field guys were open.
Well, here's the word.
Now nobody's open and guys are in his face.
It was to the right side all the time, too, and that's how it got sniffed out, because that's the only place Baker would run.
All right. Jason Lloyd joins us next. He says, gotta make the move. I'll hear him out when we return on 92.3 The Fan. It's Anthony Lima, and still 2 games.
interceptions, lost a fumble. The 3 turnovers led to 17 Detroit points, and the Browns fall to 1-3 on the season. Don't miss the Browns preview show, followed by Monday Night Football. All starts tonight at 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Mental error. We had some verts inside, and we had press outside, and I was just kind of licking my chops to take a shot right there, on 3rd and 8 or 9, whatever it was, and made a mistake that hurt us.
All right, that was Joe Flacco, and I am in, when we talk about the minority of Browns fans, I am in the stark minority. So don't think I'm not listening to you guys. I don't think Dylan Gabriel, I don't think this is the week to do it.
Does it even matter?
Daryl says it doesn't matter. Every caller says yes. 2 weeks ago.
Matters.
2 weeks ago was the week to do it. To talk about
that's a very cynical viewpoint. But
it's also very accurate.
Well, we're doing a radio show where we have to tell people something matters. The Gardians, they matter.
We really?
You know what? The Gardians matter. Jason Lloyd of The Athletic, he joins us. The Gardians do matter, so we can at least say that, right? We can get off to a good start on this phone call, right, Jason?
You matter, as Bernie would say. You matter.
That's right. So maybe we'll get to the Gardians towards the end of this call. But your headline, Browns should start Dylan Gabriel. How much worse can it get? And I've made the case that I think it can get a lot worse. But again, I'm in the minority. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was actually listening. I drove my son to school, and I had you guys on a little bit ago. I was listening. And Lama, I really don't disagree with what you were saying about, it could have been more sacks and da-da-da-da. I hear you. I think you make valid points. I just think right now the playbook is cut in half, and the stuff that they do best, well, in the past, theoretically, that they do best, a big part of the playbook is just sort of the boots and the rollouts, and they can't do any of that. So they've taken a third of the playbook and thrown it out right now. It was funny, guys. I was walking back up to the press box last night after the game. They were piping in Dan Campbell's post game, and Dan was just talking about the last touchdown to Amon-Ra. Jared recognized the blitz. The Browns had called it on the previous possession, and Jared saw it coming, changed the protection, changed the play, hit St. Brown on a quick screen, easy touchdown. And Dan was just raving about, it's next level. Like this, I don't know if people understand when your quarterback can do that, when he can recognize that and spot that and see that, how much that unlocks what you can do. And I just thought about that. I'm like, the Browns aren't getting that. And when you're starting a guy with 200 career games over 18 years like that, you should at least be able to get that. And they're not getting that. And part of it, I think, is the mobility issues. I agree. It's not all on him. It's not all his fault. But you got to try something. And you took this guy in the 3rd round. You could have taken the tackle in the 3rd round. You sure could use a tackle right now. So it's sort of it's sort of 2 prongs on this, that you want to see what you've got in him, and yet at the same time, I don't think anybody's viewing Dylan Gabriel as the future of the franchise right now. It's not like, he's a first-round pick and the pillar of the franchise, and if you throw him out there too soon, you're going to break his... That's not the conversation. If it's a disaster, put Joe back in. It's not that big of a deal, because I don't think anyone's looking at him as the quarterback of the next 10 to 15 years here anyway. But right now, just to try and get... Now, again, having said that, they could start running boots, and Dylan could run right into sacks, because the tackles actually, I thought, maybe I'm crazy, but watching it live, it felt early like the tackles were actually holding up okay. And
I thought so early. Okay. Yeah, I thought so early.
Yeah.
They got worn down.
And then as the score got out of hand, as Hutchinson was able to just sort of dial up, things, he really started feeling duress late. But early on, I felt like, wow, okay, it looks a little bit better, and the protection's a little bit better. And because I watched both lines through the binoculars quite a bit for the first half of the game just to see, and it really felt like the tackles held up early, and then it just got out of hand.
Yeah, Jason, I don't think it matters who they start at quarterback at this point. 2 things. One, the blocks and drops are a problem, and I don't think a quarterback change fixes that. The other thing, too, is do you really want to throw Dylan Gabriel, a third-round pick who's already undersized, out there in London against the Vikings defense and then come back to the States and play him against Pittsburgh, a place that has been a house of horrors for you for the last 30 years? Why not wait? I agree. The change has to come at some point. Why not wait till Miami? Why not make that the line of demarcation? Because then the season is pretty much officially over at that point, and then you can look forward and do your evaluation.
Well, and those are valid points, and I think that's why all along everyone has sort of pointed to Miami, get through the first 6, and then Miami. I wrote about that. Brian Flores would be licking his chops at a rookie quarterback, but you don't think Brian Flores is licking his chops at an immobile Joe Flacco as well? Like, Minnesota and Pittsburgh both are among the league leaders in pressures called and blitzes called. And the one thing I thought Baltimore did really well a couple weeks ago was disguising some of their looks, showing blitz, dropping, only sending 4, but it seemed to confuse the Browns at times on which 4 were coming and which were dropping. I would expect to see more of that and that's more of a line issue than a quarterback issue. I would expect Minnesota to do more of that. Obviously, Pittsburgh's going to do that. So yeah, it's all fair. But I guess if you're going to confuse a rookie quarterback, then you're going to get to an old man as well. So there is no great solution to this. The problems run so much deeper than Joe, and I don't want to put it all on Joe. He's been so good for this organization in so many ways. Just being a professional, just handling his business and doing everything asked of him and meeting all of his responsibilities. And it seems like a low bar, but they've had such a tremendous model while he's been here at that position. But at the same time, this goes back to the summer, guys, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand why they brought him here. I didn't understand why he would start a 40-year-old quarterback. What are you trying to gain from that? And the Pickett thing, I thought all summer. I thought Kenny Pickett was going to be the starter. I think he would have been the starter had he not got hurt. And then you trade him for a 5th-round pick. And now you're stuck with this situation of an immobile 40-year-old quarterback and two rookie backups, mid-round backups at that. So there is no solution to this other than you just have to march through it. You just have to get through it. And you have to get better players in the draft. And nobody wants to hear that at the end of September when you still got, 12 games to go, 13 games, whatever it is. I totally get it. But that's just the reality of where their roster is, where their cap is, and where their talent level is. They just need more players. They were never going to fix all this in one draft. I thought they drafted really, really well with the guys that they did pick, obviously. But they were never going to solve everything. But the fact that you used a 3rd-round pick on this guy when you knew the state that your line was in, you knew that you were aging out at guards, that your tackle position was could be in dire straits, and they didn't address it. So you better play the third-round pick that you did select.
Yeah, admittedly, we're talking to Jason Lloyd of The Athletic. Admittedly, part of this is my bias against Dylan Gabriel because I just don't know why they drafted him. It made no sense to me. I get it throwing darts at the dartboard, but I thought he was overdrafted, and I don't see him as anything other than if best case scenario for him is a backup in the league. And to me, why are we drafting a backup before we have, our long-term starter? And then they go and take Shador just to add to the 4-man race all camp, which made no sense to me either. So I think part of my bias against making a move is I just don't think Dylan Gabriel's good, and so to me he's DTR, and we saw what happened when DTR was fed to the Lions, or in that case it was the Ravens. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me to take him in general, but obviously they feel really good about him because they drafted him, and they drafted him ahead of where most teams would have drafted him.
And you might be right, but I mean whoever he starts against, whether it's the Vikings or the Steelers or the Dolphins or whichever team, it may look ugly and clunky early, and you're going to have to ride through it. You're going to have to give him multiple starts to see if he can work out his issues. But I don't know that I disagree all that much with your overall assessment of Dylan. I think I probably agree quite a bit in terms of his future and his outlook. And again, on a roster with so many holes on it, that's why it was just a little bit confusing, unless he just goes out here and just absolutely dominates and balls out and proves all of us wrong. But right now, this organization has not earned the benefit of the doubt at the quarterback position. It's not like the Guardians can make moves and you say, well, they've got a track record of success, so we're going to trust them on this one. And usually more times than not, it works out. You don't feel that way with the Browns. And I totally understand. I get the skepticism. It's warranted and it's deserved.
Jason, another week, another Bubba Ventron special teams breakdown. What would you say he does for the Cleveland Browns?
Man, it's bad. It's bad right now. And that was, if you they were really excited to get him, and
they made him associate head coach.
Well, they were I thought Prefer was safe, and then when Bubba became available, sort of late in the process, they pivoted back and fired Mike and brought in Bubba. No, it's not good right now. Obviously, seems like there's special teams issues across the league right now with blocks and just some other issues. I don't know that I put the kicks on the special teams coach, and I know that sounds goofy, but I talked about this with you guys a couple weeks ago. What special teams coach in the league understands kicking? I don't understand why more teams don't go out and bring in kicking experts to help with the kicking game. But the coverage,
you would think the Browns, who are like the analytic information gurus of the National Football League, and they can't find a kicker to save their lives, right? I mean, the kicking jersey's as long as the quarterback jersey. I don't know why they don't hire a kicking coach.
Yeah, but the blocks, the returns, that's all on the special teams coach. When you're getting punts blocked, when you're giving up punt returns for touchdowns, that absolutely falls on the special teams coach. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to do anything in the middle of the season. They didn't do that a few years ago with Joe Woods when it was absolutely warranted. They're not going to do it now. You can only hope that they sort of get some of the stuff cleaned up and sorted out. But yeah, I mean, when you look at yesterday, Lions scored 34 points. And 24 of the 34 came on 41 yards of offense. They had I don't have it in front of me now, a 5-yard drive, I think, a 16-yard drive, the punt return for a touchdown. Think about it. It's a 10-10 game without the offensive mishaps and the special teams blown that gave up the touchdown. Otherwise, the Lions on their own really only scored 10 points of offense. So it's just, and that's not to say the Browns are on the same level as the Lions. They are not. It's just sort of illustrates the picture of how good this defense has been and how catastrophic the offense is right now.
All right, Jason, Jerry Jeudy yesterday was a total disaster. And I've said that I think people would maybe be saying some different things about Flacco today if Jeudy did his job. He was very emotional during the game. He was very emotional after the game. I'll give him credit because he took ownership over how bad he was. But yeah, this was a big swing to get him here. And last year, people thought he validated the trade by having the production that he had. What do you make of the Jerry Jeudy situation?
He's got to be better. He's at best, I think if he's a number one, he's certainly a low end number one in the NFL of receivers. I would be more comfortable with him as a 2 than as a 1 in terms of talent production. But this is where they're at. This is who they traded for, and this is who they paid. And I also think drops are a part of it for a lot of guys. It's magnified when the offense is in such disarray as what it is. Every big play feels like it has to be converted and made because there's just not that many of them. And that's not to excuse him at all because, like I said, I think he's a low-end number one. But I do think when things are as bad as they are right now, every little mistake is magnified. But haven't really been impressed with him at all this year. Yes, he had the great little burst with Jameis last year. But overall, I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe with a better quarterback play around him, things would be better. But I don't know. They just need so much talent on that side of the ball across at almost every position. I really like Judkins. I think that's going to work. They need 2 new tackles and probably a new guard. I don't know what you do with Posick at center. I kind of thought this was going to be Wyatt's last year, but now I'm kind of wondering if you have to pay him and bring him back just because there's going to be so much turnover up front. You need new receivers. Tillman is okay. Jeudy is okay. That's the best thing you could say about the offense outside of Judkins is, well, these guys are okay. I mean, Fannin certainly has shown quite a bit of promise. Looks like he's going to be a long-term piece, but outside of that, it's really disappointing across the board.
All right, enough of this depressing talk here, Jason. Let's talk about the team worthy of the conversation in town, the Guardians. Where would you rank this historic comeback, 15.5 down to take the division? And do they have to beat the Tigers this week to validate it for folks?
No, I was on with you and Ken a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the Guardians, and I think Ken asked, do they need to win? Do they need to make the playoffs for the season to be a success? And I said, yeah, just because of some of the off-season moves that they had made, and it got so bad in the middle of the summer. I think that they were validated just by making it. I have absolutely no idea what to expect from this team going forward. I know historically you have to hit the ball out of the ballpark pretty consistently to have postseason success because teams get to the bullpen so much early. It's hard to string together 3 and 4 and 5 hits like this team needs to do to consistently score runs. Obviously, Rochio had the big home run yesterday. Rochio had a big playoff series last year. But the teams that typically, not always, but typically advance are the teams that can consistently hit the ball into the seats. And I don't know if this team can do that, but their pitching and defense has been so good. Let's see. And obviously, you wonder if there's some sort of mental block with the Tigers with the success that the Guardians have had against them, and how much that plays into all of this. They're going to have Skubal going in game 1, obviously, but the Guardians don't seem daunted by that. They've won games that he started multiple times, huge games here, going back last year and this year. So I'm looking forward to the series. We'll see. I don't think that they need to win to validate anything. It's just funny because I was thinking about this morning. I've talked to Zach Meisel about this a couple of times. The Jerry Dipoto quote from a couple of years ago. I don't know. You kind of probably have to be a pretty big baseball fan to remember what he said about teams just want to win 54% of their games over a 10-year stretch because teams that do that ultimately usually have success and wind up in a World Series. And that's really been sort of the Guardians' theme, is maybe not the 54%, but just be in it every year and hopefully you get hot at the right time. Well, that's certainly where the team seems to be right now. They sort of hung around. They were out of it. They got hot at the right time. And now obviously they're playing the best baseball of the season going into October, which is really all you can ask for. And now you wait and see what happens.
All right, Jason, it's good to go out on a high note. We appreciate it. Thanks as always.
All right, see you guys.
All right, there he is. Jason Lloyd, who says, make the change. Basically, I want to get into this. He's saying it can't get any worse.
Oh, I have news for you.
Well, we'll get to that when we come back. 216-474-0092 and at 9 o'clock, Anthony Castrovitz, MLB.com. Stick with us. Your update is next. 92.3.
University Hospital's Sports Desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Listen, this is one of those things. I mean, you can't think about it when you're a player. You know what I signed up for. You know, I signed up for coming in and competing for a job and then leading this team to victories. You know that everybody's always being evaluated in this league, and that's no different for any position. So, you know, it's disappointing to go out there and play the way we did today. Other than that, you know, I'm not really worried about all that stuff.
That's Joe Flacco, probably feeling the pressure, feeling the strain, knowing that the Browns fan base is no longer with him. Like,
I'm Team Joe here. I know what I signed up for.
What did he sign up for, Daryl?
Bad football.
Being used as a punching bag back there behind the shaky tackles, and I had the numbers to back it up finally, which was he was analytically, he was the most pressured quarterback
he was
this week in the NFL.
He was under siege. Got hit 9 times, sacked 3 times. Not a lot of time to make decisions. Obviously, the mobility comes into play when your tackles are turnstiles at this point. And again, I don't think Dylan Gabriel gives him a better chance to win. Here's what the quarterback change gives Browns fans. Right now, you're not even in September. You're already reading mock drafts for next year. Congratulations. We haven't even gotten to October, and Lima's already checking out mock drafts.
We have 5 and 22 right now, thanks to Jacksonville.
Draft talk for the win here in the month of September when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. But what it gives fans the pound of flesh. I think that's why so many folks right now are in this make the change, because you're not going anywhere anyway. With Joe Flacco, so you get your pound of flesh. It's just like the whole fire Bubba Ventron thing. Yeah, it gives you a pound of flesh, but then who's going to coach special teams? Is it really going to get any better if you fired Bubba Ventron? The answer to that question is no. Is it really going to get any better if you bench Joe Flacco in favor of Dylan Gabriel? Once again, the answer to the question is no, but it gives you something to psychologically as a fan say, well, we got the kid going this week. You know, a little change, a little good, right? And so materially, I don't think it affects change.
Well, fans always think different is going to be better.
And let's remember, the most popular player on the team is usually the backup or the third-string quarterback, which in this case, this year, it's the third-string quarterback. Everyone loves Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if the kid can play. I don't know if the kid's ready to play, but everybody loves buying their Shedeur Sanders jerseys right now, okay? And they're all excited about the prospect of, at some point, getting to see him. But Dylan Gabriel, it feels like the groundswell is here. The fans want to see him, not because they think he's going to make it better, not because he thinks that the Browns all of a sudden is going to start winning football games, but because it's just not the same thing that they've watched the last 3 weeks in which the Browns have scored 16, 17, 13, and now 10 points in a game. Quick math for you. That's 14 points a game. Also, the fourth worst scoring average since 1999, only bested by the 2000 expansion Browns, the 99 expansion Browns, and the Eric Mangini 2011 Cleveland Browns.
So you're truly saying it doesn't matter who's quarterback. Now, Jameis Winston had some moments. Jameis Winston was fun.
At least Jameis Winston made it entertaining. Like here's the thing: if they lost in entertaining fashion, it'd be easier to swallow. But when you get boat raced in Baltimore and then you go to Detroit and you get boat raced, right? That's a problem. You lost in week 1 because Andre Schmidt couldn't make a kick, and okay, he bounced back, all right, to help you beat Green Bay with that 55-yarder. All things being equal, should be a 2-2 football team instead of 1-3. But guess what? The reality is, they're a 1-3 football team. They look like a 1-3 football team. If they were 2-2, we'd be talking ourselves into how good they are, and are they legit contender? They're not. They never were. They weren't a contender in training camp. Okay, it's just that simple. I will say this in our conversation with Jason, I do agree with him that if you gave everybody in the organization the decision-making circle of trust there, which includes Andrew Berry and Kevin Stfansky, I think if you gave everybody some truth serum, I think they would say that they would have preferred Kenny Pickett be the starting quarterback.
I've had that theory. I've seen some others share that theory as well. I think Jason Lloyd just came on.
That's my theory. That is my theory as well.
But of course, we didn't love that option either. I mean, we talked on this show. Ken Carmen, holy cow.
What did I tell you guys in training camp that you guys jumped all over me for? There are no good options.
That you were making fun of Dylan Gabriel's size and it seemed unprofessional at times, Daryl?
Well, I make fun of Ken Carmen's size all the time. And
That's professional.
Oh, okay.
No, that is a professional approach. I do want to ask, and we'll go back to the phones here in a second, why do people think he's going to fare better than, say, the number one overall pick, Cam Ward? Has anybody seen what's going on with Cam Ward? Okay, did anybody think Dylan Gabriel was better than Cam Ward coming out of college? Did anybody? Did Dylan Gabriel's family think he was better than Cam Ward coming out of college? Have you seen what Cam Ward is doing? He's obviously 0-4, and they're a disaster, and their line's a disaster. And who's their offensive line coach?
Yeah, Bill Callahan.
They've actually got, maybe the best in the game. And yesterday he was 10 of 26 against Houston. Guy's 10 of 26 for 108 yards. He was sacked, I think, twice. He was under pressure the whole game. Why does anybody think it's going to be better than that?
Because, again, it's all psychological. That's all this is. It's all mental. A change means better. Because the status quo is awful. Okay? Now, the reality is the change is not going to be better, but it at least gives folks something different to look at. That's what it comes down to, Anthony. It's just something different for people to look at because what you've watched these last 4 weeks, it's untenable. It's unwatchable at times. I mean, when they got down inside the 5-yard line, they had, first of all, I think it was at the 1. And they ran it the first 2 times, got stuffed. Then they tried the Joe Flacco. It was the worst version of the tush push I've ever seen, right? Joe couldn't get in. And I was sitting there watching that series. Now, thankfully, they punched it in. But as I'm watching that, Anthony, I'm sitting there like, how embarrassing. If they can't punch this in, how embarrassing would this be for Kevin Stfansky in this offense? Because Kevin's the offensive guru, right? Mm-hmm. And that is where a lot of fan criticism is. But Kevin can't go out there and block. Kevin can't throw the football. Kevin can't catch the ball. I don't know from a schematic standpoint, and I think Jason also made another good point in talking about the playbook is reduced for Joe. A lot of the rollouts, a lot of the stuff that Kevin likes to do, he can't do with Joe.
They tried them. They tried the rollouts.
They should take all of the rollouts out of it, not just some of them.
I would probably eliminate those as well with Joe.
Put them in the recycle bin. But, what else is Kevin supposed to do at this point? He can only work with what he's given to work with. And if you want to blame anyone for what he has to work with, it's Andrew Barrett.
But do you think he's getting the maximum potential out of what he's got to work with? Just answer the question.
Yeah, because what's the maximum he has to work with?
That's fine if that's what you think. I disagree. I think the play calling has not been...
No, I'm not being facetious. What does he have to work with?
Yeah, I agree with you, but we've got to get away from trying to run the 40-year-old quarterback on bootlegs and play action and things like that.
I'm with you there.
I have to get away from it. I'm sorry that was the vegetables you were given for your ingredients. But that's what you got, so you got to try to start doing something different. Because it wasn't just this week. They beat Green Bay with 60 minutes of bad offense. Yeah. They did not play. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the last 3 minutes. The defense
they had to
put
get
them
4
into
yards to tie the game.
They have not done a good job all year offensively. They should have won week 1. They, in spite of themselves, won week 3. Week 2 and week 4, horrible offense. And it's running plays that do not mesh with the guys that you have right now. And I know the guys you have right now and the blockers you have right now are not great, but that doesn't cut it.
Well, and even when you call
the right professional football, it's not little kids.
Well, when
you're being paid to do it, go do it.
When you finally call the right play, like the screen in Njoku, all I sit there and think is, well, Bitonio misses a block.
Yeah.
Njoku looks way slower than he was in his prime. It looks like he's already out of his athletic prime.
Well, did you see the one, the bubble? He gets he thought he was going to squirt free. Mm-hmm. He gets brought down, and he just pounded the turf in frustration.
And then I'm like, well, maybe that should be Fannin instead. maybe that play.
Right now, Anthony, I feel like every play should be Fannin. Fannin's the only guy, and Junkins. Those are the guys that I go
every play.
How do we get them the ball every play?
Yeah.
I don't care if the other team knows it. They're the only ones moving forward positively on offense whenever they touch
Can't
the
rely on Judkins. I mean, can't rely on
Judy's going to drop it.
Yeah.
Tillman's going to drop it. I mean, that's what's happening.
Jerome Ford's going to get tackled for a loss, or maybe get back to the line of scrimmage if he's lucky.
If he spins around enough, he'll get to the line of scrimmage.
It seems like keep hitting the spin button. It might work at some point.
So we all agree. Let's one thing we can all agree with. Okay, we're getting rid of the rollouts. No more handoffs to Fannin right now. I understand why that is intoxicating looking at his college tape. And I called some of his games in college where they did that.
Let Elijah Moore's history just kick in. We'll just add that into the Fannin.
We don't need that. And I would swap out the Njoku plays right now. I would. I get that they like to do 2 tight end things. Fine. That's part of their identity, is the 12 personnel and everything. I think Fannin. And I know he had some drops, too. Fannin had some drops in camp,
But
too.
if you want to do those plays, do you think Dylan Gabriel can run them better than Flacco? I'm not saying mentally know what to do with the plays,
He'll at
but
least
just
be able to roll
physically
out.
be able to do those plays. So why don't you want to change to him?
All right, we'll get to that. I will have an answer. 216. Well, the phones are loaded up. Don't even need to give out the phone number. We'll do that. Plus a breath of fresh air at 9 o'clock. I promise. Anthony Castrovins will talk about how he's been documenting this magical, historic Guardians run. The question is, do they have another week in them? Because they got a very tough pitching matchup to start on Tuesday.
Forget a week. How about a month?
Oh, well, I would take a month, but we gotta crawl before we can walk. That's straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. All right, I was having a little nice jog. Got 5 miles.
Center. Call 1-800-HURT-NOW.
This report brought to you by PSE Credit Union with auto loan rates as low as 4.99% APR. Looking to purchase a new or used car, buy out your lease, or refinance a current auto loan? Take advantage of PSE Credit Union's low 4.99% APR auto loan today. Visit psecreditunion.org. That's psecreditunion.org.
An accident Route 2 west at 90 has the left shoulder closed. Heavy congestion 480 east from 176 to 77. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
This is brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's country song. It's a song about the best mayo. Has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
We'll get back to the phones in just a second. As always, Dale Ryder, our Browns beat reporter, does it all with video. It's sensational, sometimes even audio. Sometimes the video has audio, and that's what's great about Daryl.
He does the written word.
Oh, he's terrific. Anyway, brought to you as always by Scheiben Jewelers. Daryl?
Did you know that's Cleveland's premier jewelry store?
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store, as always, helping partner up with Daryl Ryder and his appearances, especially here on Mondays, but he's here the entire day because Kenny is out of town. Normally, Kenny would be loving the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are 1-3, and they have the Texans and Rams next. The Texans made Cam Ward look like a rookie yesterday. They got their win, but 1-3, that game wasn't competitive against the Chiefs,
No,
but
it wasn't.
Also, the two-time MVP had to leave the game. Lamar Jackson left the game with a hamstring injury. I'm not sure the severity of it, but he looked perplexed the entire game. The Chiefs' defense, I mean, that was uncompetitive, and that was a primetime slot, the 425 slot. So I had the Ryder Cup on most of it, but I was thinking to myself, man, Shedeur Sanders might have had a chance to play in Baltimore before he had a chance to play with the Browns.
Interesting.
Good call, Dion. Good call, Shedeur.
And honestly, do I think he would have been the backup there? No, but whatever. You get the point. Not that anybody's feeling bad for Baltimore here, but
I'm not.
Is this going to get any better for them?
Probably not.
Or is this just a byproduct of their schedule? They've had the Bills, the Lions, and the Chiefs.
Well, they're going to be in serious trouble here, especially if Lamar's banged up to the point where he needs to miss a game or two. They could find themselves in a similar position we saw the Bengals fall into last year, right? They were expected to win the division. It was all eyes on them, and they got riddled with injuries, and their season fell apart. Same thing looks like it's happening in Baltimore. It's not just that Lamar got hurt. They lost a couple other starters yesterday, too. They had a bunch of guys leave that game because they were banged up. So this could be one of those years where the Ravens were thought to be a contender, and they just get ravaged by injuries, and it blows up their season. And again, no one's feeling sorry for them.
We don't know the severity of Lamar right now, right? But they have 2 games until their bye week. So they've got Houston, they've got the Rams, right?
They could be 1-5.
John Harbaugh, do you think, all right, let's see if I can get one against the Texans here and then see what happens against the Rams with, I think it's Cooper Rush is their backup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you trade Shedeur to Baltimore? 216-474-0092.
Oh, Daryl, you want to get the phone lines lit for the rest of the week. And
Just
also,
a joke.
Also, the Chargers, Joe Alt went down, the tackle went down, and it looked like a pretty big deal. He was carted off. So they lose that game, and then I hate if the Browns are going to be bad, I want to enjoy the league.
Yeah,
and Malik Neighbors going down with what? That's a season ender, right?
Here's the thing,
that
Anthony.
Sucks.
I tend to enjoy the league when I'm not watching the Browns.
Right. Well, I said, what if the local affiliate? It's probably not their call; it's the network's call. What if?
I really enjoyed the Cowboys-Packers game last night.
That was an amazing tie. What if they would have switched the game in the fourth quarter from the unwatchable Browns game to Baker Mayfield and his comeback attempt against the Super Bowl champions?
Well, my TV signal kept fading in and out anyway, so it would have been fine by me.
Fading in and out.
Worst television.
What is your situation?
I live in downtown, and you
He
can't
lives
get
in 1940s downtown Cleveland.
So you're not paying for cable.
I'm not paying for cable because I stream everything.
Okay.
All right, and the game was on Fox yesterday.
You have the antenna?
So I have the antenna.
You have the boost?
It's plugged into an outlet to give me the extra electrical charge, and it is a struggle bus.
Do you need to go on the roof of your building and get it lined up?
I may or may not have put the TV antenna in the window yesterday. So that I could watch the Browns.
Can we not do something where we send Mitch and wrap him in tinfoil and he stands outside of your house?
I'm all for that too. I've got
hopefully in a rainstorm.
I've got really big, beautiful picture windows. I'm sure we could totally fit Mitch in one of those picture windows.
216-474-0092. Do they need
Instead
to
of stuffing him in a locker, we'll stuff him in a window.
Owen was attacking at the end of the segment, and he wanted an answer because it seemed like everything we were saying.
I just don't want us to come on air and go, this sucks, we hate it, there's nothing we can do, because we might as well end the radio show.
Right, so the question is, and I tweeted it out because I had the analytics on Joe Flacco being the most under duress of any quarterback in the NFL yesterday. It was true, he was. So the question is, does Dillon Gabriel help that situation? And I know the logic everyone's using is, well, he's more mobile.
But here's the thing. He is more mobile. That is a fact. It's undeniable. He's more mobile than Joe is. But does that mobility then translate into positive plays? I personally don't think so. I think he's going to end up doing a lot of what we've seen Deshaun do, and that's run himself. He might escape the first bit of trouble, but he's going to run himself into other trouble.
To the defense of the fans are saying, well, we don't know. We haven't seen him. And obviously the Browns like him, but you know the Browns like Deshaun. The Browns love Deshaun Watson.
You know what I do know is that this offense is lethargic with Joe Flacco at quarterback
It is.
right
There's
now.
no spark. And Jerry Jeudy hates him. It's pretty obvious. And I think Joe Flacco probably hates Jerry Jeudy.
Well, here's the other thing, too. Here's why the Browns love Dillon Gabriel. Because he speaks their language. That's why. He speaks Andrew Berry. He speaks Kevin Stfansky. Yeah, he speaks Paul DePodesta.
Okay.
Like that's
Paul
why they love him.
spoke.
He does it. He does on his Zoom meetings. That's all he does.
He just goes, helicopter, take me to Cleveland.
All right, Drake in Cleveland. Drake, go ahead.
How you doing this morning?
What's
Thank
up?
you for taking my call. Man, y'all better start listening to Owen, man. He sounds like he's making the most sense this morning. But I wanted to ask you, Anthony, specifically.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants played Jackson Dart yesterday, and I was like, what the hell are they doing? And he looked great. He looked great. The team rallied around him. It had a new energy on that team.
Even without Neighbors,
when Russell Wilson was on the center.
Dillon Gabriel is not Jackson Dart. I want to make that very clear.
The Chargers, somebody who looked unbeatable with a rookie quarterback. So for Cleveland to keep sitting here saying he's not ready, it's not this, he's not ready. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. Listen, the guy that you loved so much and he made so much sense and he knew all the nuances of the offense. Why are you so afraid to play this guy? If we're getting blew out every weekend, what's the logic in saying they're not ready? We're getting blew out anyway. They might as well get experience and then be better in the future. Like, it doesn't make any sense to play a 40-year-old quarterback when you got two rookies on the roster and your team is going nowhere. It's like the stupidest of the stupidest of the stupidest.
Daryl,
you know what, Drake? You have changed my mind. It doesn't matter. Play Dillon Gabriel.
See, Drake, you did it.
Play Dillon Gabriel. Go for it. Why not? You know what? I'm on board. You sold me. I was thinking about this yesterday because I posted it on X. I said I had changed my mind about something, and I was going to reveal it on the show. There it is. Drake got it out of me.
Wow.
Go ahead and play Dillon Gabriel.
You didn't
Jackson Dart 111 yards, by the way.
Well, but he won. We are results based. Look, you didn't hear me vociferously, battle with Drake there. I mean, everything he said, why are you playing a 40-year-old quarterback? I totally get all of that. And afraid, look, ready or not, like I don't necessarily believe in that in the NFL at this level. Like I just don't know if he's good, but I guess there's only one way to find out. It is to play him. Anthony, I just wouldn't be shocked. All I'm saying is I wouldn't be shocked if it looks like DTR.
It's September 29th, and I have already thrown my hands up. I have raised the white flag. I have surrendered. Go for it. Play Dillon Gabriel in London. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Well, I think they're going to leave it open this week.
Another football game.
Just another football game. Right?
I don't think.
And does that ultimately matter? You can achieve the same goal with Joe Flacco.
Did the Browns put out when they're talking today? When Stefanski's going to do his Zoom today?
It's probably going to be around like 1 o'clock.
Okay, so obviously we'll have the news. I mean, when we hear it, I think they're going to leave it open.
Will they activate Deshaun Watson off injured reserve today and have him start?
Daryl did tell me this.
Daryl, you're going to have to leave the studio.
He did mention this, and I told him not to say anything on the air, and here he opened his big fat trap. He had to do it. He's available now? You're telling me now he can play?
You're 4 weeks into the season.
All right. When we come back.
Looks good running them cones, Lima.
Who wants a ray of sunshine to get us off that? Anthony Castrovins. Chronicling history in the making, but do they have at least another week in them? The Gardians are trying to give us an October to remember. We'll have a segment to remember next here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
leaving the game in the third quarter with a hamstring injury. Latest AP college football rankings, Ohio State remained number 1 for the 5th consecutive week. Don't miss the Browns preview show, followed by Monday Night Football. It all starts tonight at 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
When you want the latest on the Browns, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
All right, we got a big one here. Who wants to see Nate Bargatze? Your chance to be a winner. Enter the code word MIND, M-I-N-D, at 923thefan.com. Before 10 a.m., your chance to win a pair of tickets to Nate Bargatze Big Dumb Eyes Tour this Friday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at Rocket Arena. Tickets available at rocketarena.com. It's all from Outback Presents and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Say it again. Say, who wants to see Nate Bargatze?
Who wants to see Nate Bargatze?
No one knows.
The word is MIND, M-I-N-D, at 923thefan.com. And we'll have another crack at this tomorrow, Owen.
We've got it all week, I believe.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
All week.
That's going to be a huge show. Nate Bargatze, very, very funny. And look, Anthony Castrovince, our next guest on the Fan Hotline. He's funny. I've seen him in social settings. But right now,
he's even funnier on X.
He is. He's very good. You know what? You're too highbrow for many, Anthony, I have to say. From MLB.com, MLB Network. Sometimes it's over the heads of some of these people that follow you. Because
I gotta take it down a notch. I really do.
You got to appeal to the masses.
I was just calling in for the Nate Bargatze tickets. Am I the 10th caller?
you had to enter the code word on the website.
Okay.
All right, Anthony.
When I get off.
Anthony, you are covering a team that has already made history. You know, I kind of joked at the start of the show. I said, hey, they give out a World Series every year. There's really nothing that special about a World Series. But coming back from 15.5 down, that is history. They are the sole team to pull it off, and I think they might have the worst or one of the worst batting averages ever to make the postseason. Again, they give out the World Series every year. What's the big deal? They've already accomplished something pretty damn big. The question is, can they keep this going? Can they do this for another week at least, Anthony?
You know, why not? I think, first of all, yeah, hang a banner at Progressive Field with a paragraph-long explanation of what they just accomplished, because it is completely absurd. And I like, for our purposes as journalists, as writers, I'm thinking about future journalists, like 100 years from now, who might have to explain when some team comes back from 16 back. They'll be able to say that the 2025 Cleveland Guardians came back from 15.5 back, and that was the greatest comeback ever. And there's no asterisk like attached to it with a tiebreaker, or they came back to tie the division, but then lost the division, but still made the playoffs as the third wild card seed. None of that stuff. No, they came back from 15.5 back and won the division by a game. So you got to like the nice stamp of approval there at the end. As far as whether they can keep it going, I mean, October is its own animal. We know that, and it seems like there's so many times where a team has all the momentum going into October, or a team is in a rut going into October, and everything flips because it's such a different environment. Your pitching staff is whittled down to its essence. It's more off days, so it's a different beast. But man, this team's got a lot of belief in itself right now, and it's fun to watch.
So what you're saying is the Tigers blew a 15.5 game lead as our new Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's the way it has to be in Cleveland. Like, for a Cleveland team to win a championship, something absurd has to happen. Like, all statistical odds have to be tossed aside, and that's what happened with the Cavaliers in 2016, and that's what happened with the Guardians in 2025.
Should the Guardians be at all concerned about Skubal in Game 1, considering their recent history against him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this wildcard series is... we had it in the COVID year in 2020, but then, for all intents and purposes, we've had it since 2022 as a full-time postseason round. There's been 12 of them. 10 of the 12 have been wrapped up in the minimum of 2 games. Game 1 is everything. It really is. That probably goes without saying. It's a best of 3, and you can come back from 0-1, but we just haven't seen that really. So to have Tarik Skubal for the Tigers is a huge advantage for them. I don't, what's happened in the last couple of weeks. The Guardians beat him twice. They beat him twice by scoring 2 earned runs against him total in those 2 starts. We saw the wacky inning, last week where they were able to hang 3 on him, a couple unearned, in that crazy inning where they, don't hit the ball out of the infield. and that's their style. But man, I mean, to count on that happening again is difficult. It's just, you can't overstate the difficulty of it. He's a premier pitcher at his absolute peak, and he knows this team well. They know him well, but the Tigers have the upper hand just because of that factor. There's a lot of reasons why the Guardians have the upper hand in the series in terms of their style of play. They don't strike out a lot like the Tigers do. They play a clean game, and I think that was the difference in these last couple series against the Tigers. The Tigers did not play a clean game, and so that can make a huge difference in the postseason. But if you're just looking at this rationally and calmly and objectively, you'd have to say the Tigers have the huge edge just because they have Tarik Skubal on the mound in Game 1.
Anthony Castrovins join us on the hotline. Help size up the pitching situation, the rotation for us, and also how the bullpen will be impacted by what they do with the rotation.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure they'll, tell us for sure today, but I would suspect, Gavin Williams Game 1, Tanner Bybee Game 2, and then, you're choosing between Joey Cantillo and Slade Ciccone for Game 3. Cantillo's interesting because, he's on a tear right now, but he's also a guy that we know they can turn to in a bullpen role too, so that would be interesting. But it's all about games 1 and 2, and those are their dudes. Bybee and Williams right now, and as far as how that impacts the bullpen runs pretty deep. It's interesting to see the evolution of that group as this year has gone along. Obviously, it was historically great last year, and then kind of ran out of gas in October. You don't feel like I was worried about the bullpen going into postseason last year. Just because they had been used so much. He had 4 guys with 70+ appearances. You don't have that this year. It's more about a group that's come together late in the year in the face of great adversity and losing their closer. And you had a great closer to step right in Cade Smith, but that elevates everybody else. And how's that going to look? Well, we've seen how it looks. The Sobrowskis of the world. Hunter Gaddis is pitching really well right now. So you don't have that feel of just all right, how long can they keep doing this? Do they have anything left in the tank? It's not that. It's more they got a bunch of options back there, and Vogt and company are really good about mixing and matching and putting guys in good spots. And so I don't really worry about the bullpen.
Give me the Guardian not named Jose Ramirez or Stephen Kwan who you think needs to be the X factor in this series.
I think it's Brian Rochio, and I'm not just saying that because he hit that home run yesterday. I would have said that, prior to that swing, just because, he's played so much better since he came up from the minors. He's solidified the second base spot for them, which was a must. And this guy's got a really good heartbeat. You think about that game a couple weeks ago. This is defensively, but that game a couple weeks ago against Chicago was a Sunday afternoon, and they're in that moment where every win, they need every win desperately at that moment, and he makes a great defensive play. And it's one of the best defensive plays I've seen to end a game, So this guy's got a really good heartbeat for the big moments. He's ticked it up offensively. Last year in the postseason, he was terrific in the division series against the Tigers. So if they get that guy, towards the bottom of the order, it flips the order on its head, and then you're setting up opportunities for Kwan and Jose and whatnot. So, I think he's a huge X factor for them.
Well, you mentioned Kwan, and obviously we know just how incredible he is in the field, and the throws have just been awesome all year. So it's actually really fun to watch that guy, field his position. Offensively, how big of a series does he need to have? Is there any pressure on Kwan to get things going, just knowing their lineup is not really going to stack up against any of these other lineups?
There's always tremendous pressure on Stephen Kwan in this lineup, right? Because, there's not a lot coming behind him. We know that. But when you generate traffic, you can compel your opponent into mistakes like we saw against the Tigers. They can create havoc. On the base pass, they put the ball in play, and sometimes that's all it takes. But that all starts with Stephen Kwan at the top of the order. It's kind of like an obvious thing to say. They have 2 all-star caliber hitters in their lineup, and he's one of them, so he's important. But just because of the complexion of the lineup overall, your leadoff man is vital. And I agree with you. Defensively, there was a ball off the top of the wall yesterday, for a double that. Just watching him play the angles perfectly, and almost getting the runner at second base with his arm. He's really fun to watch in left field, even on a double.
What's gotten into Guardian catchers lately? Austin Hedges and Bo Naylor are hitting baseballs.
Yeah, something about Bo Naylor, takes time to settle in, I guess, but September brings out the best in him. October, perhaps, too. We saw some big hits from him last October, and I really thought, as did many, going into the year, I thought that, something had clicked for him, and we'd see that, offensive ceiling that's been forecast for him for a long time. It didn't happen that way, but all that people remember is how you finish, and people are going to remember what he did in this month of September to really elevate this offense to a level it had not reached in the previous 5 months. And so that's great to see. And then Hedges, of course, I'll be curious to see. Last year was interesting in the postseason where, you had Naylor and then you had Hedges coming in for defensive purposes, and then they flipped that, to bring Naylor's bat off the bench. I think in a postseason environment, I think it really functions better that way, to be honest with you. So that might be a method to go about it, here in this series. We'll see.
Obviously, there was so much made of the sixth inning last week and David Fry and what happened after the game with the teams kind of coming together in a bizarre way. And now you're playing them again. How much could that play into that matchup? Because we're sitting here last week saying, man, I want to hate Skubal. I want to hate him. And then it seemed like he was a really good guy. And now, we need that whole stadium to be loud and obnoxious, with him, and to try to get that edge that we need against a really good pitcher.
I know. I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but even prior to the David Fry situation, Tarik Skubal really is a good dude. Like, he has a really good reputation in baseball. He's great in the community. Like, he's someone you root for if you don't, if you don't have money or pride on the line. Like, he's a good one, man, and he's obviously a great pitcher. And that was that was fascinating, right? I mean, these guys are fighting tooth and nail. This guy just lost an absolute crusher. Like I said, he gives up one earned run and takes the loss in a must-win game, and he's got to be hurting from that. But you could see him hurting for another person instead, from the moment it happened. Like, you could see it on his face, and he really felt concerned for David Fry in that moment, and rides over with Stephen Vogt. So, yeah, how do you dislike a guy like that? And so, yeah, they always say familiarity breeds contempt, but I don't feel contempt in this series between these two teams. I just feel respect. They don't have many of those benches clearing moments, so it's more about just two different teams, but two teams who have great respect for the battle they just endured, and here we go again.
And Anthony, I have great respect for you, and I can't wait to be linking up again, because I feel like this can't end now. This can't end this week. We've got to keep it going throughout the weekend. And baseball, it's so it's unfortunate just how quickly the playoffs wrap up. So many teams are just going to be out of it by Wednesday.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not us.
I kind of liked the one-game wild card because of the pure drama of it, but it goes fast, and this best of three goes really fast too. And like I said, usually it's wrapped up in two. So hopefully this one, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say that here in Cleveland, but I like when they go the distance. So hopefully a couple of these go the distance. Maybe not Cleveland, Detroit, but let's get at least one or two of them.
All right, Ant, MLB.com, @CastroVince on social media. We'll talk to you again.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
All right, there he is. And he's not sugarcoating it. To beat Skubal a third time, not going to be easy. We'll react to that and get to more of your calls. We'll talk Guardians and Browns when we come back here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Where my dog?
Anthony Castrovins join us on the hotline.
Game 1 is everything. That probably goes without saying. It's a best of 3, and you can come back from 0-1, but we just haven't seen that really. So to have Tarik Skubal for the Tigers is a huge advantage for them. What's happened in the last couple of weeks? The Guardians beat him twice by scoring 2 earned runs against him total in those 2 starts. You can't overstate the difficulty of it. He's a premier pitcher at his absolute peak. He knows his team well. They know him well, but Tigers have the upper hand just because of that factor.
All right, that was Castrovins moments ago. We'll get back to the Browns and whether we're going to hear from Stfansky today about a quarterback change. But, Daryl, you don't seem to be worried at all about seeing Skubal tomorrow. And tomorrow we will be doing an in-depth pregame show to get you ready for that game, 1 o'clock, right?
1:08 first pitch.
1:08. We're going to get the intros. We're going to get the bunting. We're going to get playoff
all the
baseball.
pomp and circumstance of postseason baseball.
I absolutely love it.
And I love the consistency. Tuesday 1:08, Wednesday 1:08, Thursday if necessary.
Okay,
1:08.
I want to.
Depending on
They
what
might be at 3:08 on Thursday.
They could be moved, right?
I was about to add in case.
So especially if right now there are 4 games, Tuesday and Wednesday for sure.
Yeah.
If any of those series end early, I'm sure they'll push them back to a later start time.
Yeah.
If they're somehow all 4 series are still going, then we'll be the 1:08 game again.
But you know what, Anthony? I don't appreciate the scoring for my confidence. I am confident that they can beat Skubal tomorrow for a third time.
Well, they need to because Castrovins brought it up.
He just made it seem like you got no shot if you lose that game.
10 of 12 series, the team that wins game 1, or 10 of 12, it doesn't go into past game 2. The team that wins game 1 generally wins the series.
Game 2.
Yeah, so.
And you're going up against the best pitcher in baseball.
I listened to some Detroit stuff last night, and they were all wondering, should they be upset that A.J. Hinch essentially just went, hey, we've made the postseason, we know we've made the postseason, so who cares? They gave up home field advantage, right? He didn't try to go get it all.
So they could start Skubal. It wasn't just that
they didn't start Skubal yesterday. They also, Dylan Dingler, who's their everyday catcher now, the kid from Jackson, did not play. They didn't play like 5 of their normal position player starters. And just basically said, we'll go into Cleveland again. They got to win 2 here. So obviously, save for the last 2 weeks where we swept them and then we won the first 2 games of a series against them, they have some confidence in Flaherty and Skubal for sure. And then Mize is, he's been okay as well. So
yeah. Well, it's a weird thing to talk about the Fry thing because it's impossible for us to know what's in Skubal's mind.
Right.
But Owen, you said it at the start of the show. That's the scene of the crime. That is the exact play. What a weird scenario this is.
He didn't go into Boston and get, another 2 innings just to, get that out of his head. The last time he's been on a mound, he hiked a ball through his legs that would have been over any starting quarterback's head. He hit David Fry in the face. He imploded on the bunting, and then Stephen Vogt was the good guy and gave him a drive over to Cleveland Clinic to visit Fry. Those are all his last starting pitching things. So, he's going to be a 2-time Cy Young winner. So he's going to have some mental toughness to overcome those things, but you never know.
I am not wavering from my confidence.
Okay. Daryl,
I'm firm in my convictions as I always am, Anthony, except for when I talk to Nick Wilson.
Well, and you also flip-flopped on Dylan Gabriel earlier in the show, which leads us to a perfect time to ask the question, are we today, when Kevin Stfansky talks, is it officially at 1 o'clock?
Around 1 o'clock is when he talks. So.
When he talks, I said I think he's going to leave the door open.
100%.
Now, I don't think he's making a move.
He makes no declarative statements on Monday. He tries to avoid declarative statements on Wednesday. However, we've had many a recent situation where when he does make a move, that he does make that announcement. But yeah, I don't expect anything definitive from Kevin this afternoon when he talks on Zoom.
I think he's going to leave it open just because, and I know you kind of scoffed at this and ripped the thought of it earlier in the show, but I do think he wants to keep Minnesota guessing a little bit because they're 2 totally different quarterbacks.
Yes, because I know the Vikings are just shaking in their boots.
See, this is what he does.
Am I wrong?
This is what. Well, you're back to nothing matters. Which,
no, I'm. What my point is that
if Brian Flores is getting ready for a game, he's a mastermind defensive coordinator who comes with some of the most what would you say when it comes to blitzes, exotic blitz schemes known to mankind in the NFL. That's kind of the word on the street, and so. It's going to be one thing if it's Joe Flacco, and it might be another with Dylan Gabriel because
I just don't think that Brian Flores is sweating either one of these quarterbacks.
Well, I didn't say sweating. I just said it's different guys.
My point is when you play those kind of games, I think that this organization, when they do it, they tend to get caught up in playing the games instead of actually playing the game, and it never works out in their favor. They invest all the energy, right? And I understand what you're saying. Oh, we're going to have them, make them prepare for two guys and think twice, all this. It never works out in the Browns' favor. It never works. When you're wasting energy, just name the starter. When you're ready to just name the starter. You don't need to make anyone guess because for me, it's just wasted energy, Anthony.
Well, will there be a vote of confidence today for Joe Flacco? The dreaded vote of confidence.
Ooh. Well, I think you got it. Actually, I think he's already gotten it in the sense of Kevin repeatedly saying these last 4 weeks, it's not just about Joe, right? He's always saying anytime he's asked about a mistake that Flacco made or the lack of offensive output, Kevin is always saying, well, it's not just about one person. It's not just about Joe.
Here's Kevin yesterday. He was asked if the blame is all on Joe.
Again, respectfully, we didn't do enough on offense.
There we go. So that's
let me put that Here's a longer version of that. He does it again later if Flacco's the best chance to win.
Yeah, again, it's never going to be about one person. It's just not. And we're not doing a good enough job. I'll put myself in there as well. We have to be better.
Let me put that through my Kevin Stfansky press conference translator here. Here we go. The answer is it's not all Joe's fault.
All right, first interception was definitely Joe's fault. I don't care about miscommunication. Yeah. The first one was embarrassing.
Yeah.
The second one, I don't know, man. I put it more on Judy.
Judy's got to fight a little. And again, the play has been made. The interception's there. You got to touch the runner down instead of looking for a flag from an official there. You've got to keep your head in the game.
It was an emotional train wreck yesterday. From the moment he dropped that first ball where he obviously wanted the ball delivered earlier.
Well, let's hear Joe Flacco on the interceptions. He spoke about them specifically.
Well, we made mistakes. The first pick was on me, and anytime you give a chance to give this team a little bit of momentum and play from the lead, that makes them that much better. That's part of the reason why they're a good football team. So when you turn the ball over like that and you give them good position and you don't really allow our defense to pin their ears back and do their thing, then you're going to struggle as a whole. I don't know about that second one. I really didn't. That set them up too. I really didn't think that they came up with that, but in the box where they did, and it hurt us. So.
Yeah, the first one's on me.
The first one's on me. I don't know about that second one, though, man.
And I know there was a question about control of the ball and all that stuff. Either way, Jonathan Vilma.
I thought the ball came out. I thought it hit the ground. I thought the ground helped with the catch.
I did wonder if that was going to get. I kind of thought that was going to get overturned, but
they review all turnovers, and so they were satisfied.
Vilma was. This is like 3 of the 4 weeks that I've heard the broadcast crew talk about wide receivers and their routes. And, Bond flashed a little bit yesterday, but also there was another play where he just quit.
Well,
he just quit. And if you're Isaiah Bond, can you, at your role in the NFL, can you be quitting on anything?
Last week, he went at Joe because he was wide open and Joe didn't see him. You can't go at the veteran, regardless of how Joe's playing, you can't go at an 18-year veteran and 40-year-old quarterback about not getting you the ball, and then the next week when he's getting you the ball, you don't catch it. You can't do stuff like that. Plain and simple. If you're going to go after the quarterback for not seeing you and getting it to you, when he does see you and get it to you, you have to catch it. You have to catch it.
Yeah,
but he's a rookie, an undrafted rookie. He's going to be consistently inconsistent. You have to expect that. But I'm just saying, someone's got to get in Isaiah Bond's ears and give him the vicissitudes of life here. That's how it works. If you're going to go after the starting quarterback, when he comes to you, you better make the plays then.
Special teams, I started the show saying I could make a pretty good case that Bubba's got to go.
Well, Bubba's got to go at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, you're willing to wait.
Well, because here's the thing, and this again, and I know where Owen stands. Like, it doesn't matter if they fire Bubba right now. It really doesn't. Is it going to get better firing Bubba? No. Who's going to coach special teams? Who's going to take that job? So next, you're reading mock drafts already, right? We're following the Jaguars every move to see where their pick is going to land. Like, the focus is already 2026. We're here on September 29th, and it's already starting to creep into being about next year. So that being the situation, next year Bubba Ventron just cannot be.
I'll concede one to Daryl on this one, right? Does it make anyone in the fan base happier if they fire Bubba Ventron?
It gives you your pound of flesh. That's what fans are looking for right now.
An accountability thing?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the special teams coordinator. Yeah. It's not,
slash associate head coach.
Well, okay, what's he doing with the associate head coaching role then?
That's how they got him out of Indianapolis.
Yeah. Okay. Fine,
listen,
Daryl. You're the permanent fill-in host. There you go. We're giving you that title. You're the associate fill-in host. All right.
Listen, nobody hands out fancy, meaningless titles better than the Cleveland Browns do. Okay, you have the executive vice president of football operations and general manager.
You won the most words award.
He's the GM.
Yeah, it's the most words award. They did it. They got the guy with the biggest title in the NFL. But I don't know that I'll agree with you. I don't know that firing, the only reason you do it is, you're right, Anthony, to try to show some sort of organizational accountability. But is that going to change anything for fans? Fans don't care about the special teams coordinator.
No, but that's also why I said I think it could be the easiest move to make.
And it's your point earlier, Owen. If you make a quarterback,
if I'm Kevin Stfansky or Andrew Berry, it's called the beginning of the end for them.
Yeah.
And you cannot at week 5 concede that, hey, I'm on my way out the door as well. I don't think that they can do that in the middle of the
season. Trying to think, the only thing they've kind of done midstream ever was when quarterback changes and when Stfansky gave up his play calling.
Yeah. You know what that was? That was Stfansky sitting there last year with Dorsey and saying, you wanted him. It's all on him. I am washing my hands of this, and I'm just going to sit back and watch the world burn. And then at the end of the season, I'm going to walk into the office and say, I told you so. Can we go back to doing what I do? And that's exactly what happened. So
yeah, well, this is a tough one for Kevin. This is his offense, and supposedly, Joe Flacco was supposed to be a tailor-made fit. We had a lot of people wondering, why wasn't Joe Flacco just here last year?
Well, he was here. He was not here last year because last year was all about Deshaun. You had to protect Deshaun's ego. You had to swap out offensive coordinators to help Deshaun. And you were doing everything, and understandably so, because you invested 6 draft picks and $230 million in the guy. You were doing everything you could to set that guy up for success. Unfortunately, it turned into a raging dumpster fire. He got hurt. We're all assuming that his career with the Browns is over, even though now there's a pretty good chance we're going to see him at some point this season, maybe sooner rather than later. But, they did everything for one specific player. And then at the end of the season, to nobody's surprise, locker clean out there, we're talking to guys, and everyone's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't structure the whole organization around one guy. Maybe we shouldn't do everything just for one guy. There's 52 other dudes in this locker room. Maybe we should do some stuff for the other 52 dudes. Maybe we should do some stuff that we actually do well, instead of trying to, square peg, round hole it the way that the Browns did last year.
Outside of making a quarterback change, and again, Stfansky, you'll hear if anything happens today or anything is addressed about the quarterback situation, even if he leaves it open, we'll obviously have it here on 92.3 The Fan.
My money is he's going to leave the door wide open. Because there's a serious evaluation they have to do. They really do. They have to look at it, because you have a great defense right now, and you have an inept offense. And I will grant Owen his argument that at least with Dylan Gabriel, the one problem he does solve for you, like firing Bubba solves no problems. We agree on that.
Yeah.
But the one problem changing quarterbacks does solve, it's the mobility issue. That at least is solved because Dylan is more mobile. I just don't know that Dylan's mobility will lead to better decision-making and more success.
Could he have survived that game yesterday the way Flacco did? I couldn't even believe Flacco could get up and go back to the huddle. He was hit so many times, and he led the league yesterday.
Officially, 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits in the box score.
Yeah, and he was pressured the most of any quarterback.
9 plus 3 equals 12, yes.
And it seemed more.
Yeah.
It seemed like even more.
That 12 felt like 36.
All right, when we come back, we'll get to your phone calls once again, and the defense. The numbers actually looked pretty damn good, all things considering. What did we think of that defense? We'll hear from the anchor of that defense coming up, final segment of the show here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
I'm Dave here to
knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Subject to change.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Part of the game. Wherever they set the ball down, you got to play. Whether it's our 20 or their 20, you got to respond. You got to make a play. We need to make some more big plays.
That was Myles Garrett. He's basically been answering the same questions his entire career here. I thought,
yeah, but he's getting paid $40 million to answer them now. So,
well, he got a whole photography segment on the broadcast. That's how bad the game was.
Well, there wasn't anything else to talk about yesterday during the game.
All right, so that was definitely in the can, and if it was a close game, we were never going to hear about that, right?
100%.
Yeah. But Fox, we've been on Fox 3 times already, and I think they have 2 more with them. 3 more. 3 more on Fox right now. So,
well, next week is our only standalone window game of the season.
Yeah.
In London.
That's on NFL Network.
Which I'm telling you, as bad as we've killed the Browns all day today, and Owen, you didn't really give me a reaction, so I didn't know if you thought I was crazy. I said, we don't know for sure that Carson Wentz is going to be the starter. Their offensive line has had so many injuries that I think Myles Garrett can just win you a game next week.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I mean, Carson Wentz is the 6 years younger version of Joe Flacco, 10 years younger. I don't know how much younger he is than Flacco, but they're the same. They move the same. I saw...
he ran a little bit. He got out of the pocket a few times.
Cool. I'd like to see him do it next week. I don't think he's going to do that consistently.
Well, he just makes mind-numbing mistakes. When he throws it, it looks good.
He was the backup in Kansas City last year, and I had to sit through enough of those. He came in here against the Browns.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. He started week 18. It was terrible. He's a guy that you will always be able to point back and go, what would have happened? He was going to win the MVP that year. That
I know.
Did he blow out his ACL or something? And then they won the Super Bowl. He was going to win the MVP that year. And then the career changed, much like it has for so many that had come before him. It'll happen again. He's going to be one of those guys that floats around because he is a smart football guy, but I don't know if the body has it anymore.
So I think they can win. They're 4-point dogs.
You're right.
That's the lowest number of the season.
And then they're 2-3. They've got the Steelers after that, and then Dolphins, Patriots. Who's not looking at that schedule and going, "Oh, we can win. We could be right in this hunt."
Yeah, I know. Is this also part of the reason why I think they might just stick with Flacco? 1 more week or 2 more weeks because it's Pittsburgh on the road the following week. Daryl,
I do recall mentioning this earlier in the show, and both of you tried to dunk on me for bringing it up.
I did not at all. I do want to ask you defensively.
No, I tried to dunk on you for saying that Flacco was the best option, which I believe I completed that dunk, and I'm now putting it on a poster on my wall.
Well,
if you think
after
Joe Flacco is the best option, no. He might be the best guy that plays quarterback on the team. I don't know that he's the best option to get you out of trouble.
I do not think Dylan Gabriel could have both thrown those balls in the second and third quarter while he's getting hit, while guys are all over him, and then still live to see another day.
Like Dylan Gabriel's getting hit as many times.
I think he might get hit more. I think he might get hit more. Rookies get hit. They run themselves into trouble.
Because it sounds like I'm hitching my wagon to Dylan Gabriel, and I am far from that.
I am looking forward to Dylan Gabriel's first start, and then the countdown to Shedeur Sanders beginning for
you mentioned another quarterback already, Daryl.
Yeah, you did bring him up. You want to say him?
I'm thinking
say it 2 more times in the mirror. He's going to show up.
All right, the defense. So there was the war of words, I guess, between their offensive coordinator, Johnny Morton, last week.
Was it really a war of words?
Well, he said they hadn't seen a running game like them. What did you think overall how they did?
I thought it was fine. It was enough to win. Again, this is what's frustrating. The final score is not indicative of really how things went for the Browns defensively, and they did their part to win the game. They've done their part all 4 weeks. to win the game. And I say that even recognizing what happened in Baltimore. And they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter. But the reason they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter is because the offense can't do their job. So, I don't know. Maybe Kevin Stfansky needs more compliments from people during team meetings or whatever. Like he did that bit leading up to the Packer game where he picked random guys and you had to give a teammate or someone a compliment. But the defense, is it perfect? No. But they keep getting in positions to fail. Or I should say they keep getting put in positions to fail. And mostly by the offense and sometimes by the special teams. Although give Bubba Ventron's unit credit yesterday, they just let the Lions finish the touchdown off on the singular punt return, and the defense didn't have to defend a short field. But it's just, I don't know what folks want more out of this defense, and I understand, these are, if I was in the room, I would ask the same thing, because the defense psychologically cannot worry about the offense's ineptitude.
Which is hard.
They really have to keep. That's why you hear Miles and you hear Denzel and you'll hear Carson Schlesinger and all these other guys talking about, we have to do our jobs. We have to be better at our jobs. You do in some respects, but no, it's the offense that needs to be better at their jobs. It's the special teams that needs to be better at their jobs. And then maybe you guys have a chance. And the game in Baltimore, it was a good game there late in the third quarter. Same thing in Detroit. It was a 10-point game yesterday. It was 20-10. Had a shot, and then you had a special teams meltdown. Game, set, match. That was it.
I know Mitch screened the calls, and he wants to go to a guy immediately who says, "When are we going to start calling for Stefanski's job?" They've been calling for Stefanski's job for 3 years. That's something that's been happening after shows routinely.
Before the second,
I will ask.
Instead, I'm going to finish on a high note. Jack, how about those Guardians?
Hey, first-time caller.
Jack, the Guardians are going to the playoffs.
I'm so excited. I was at 2 of the 3 games this past weekend. I was at the game yesterday with my mom.
Congratulations on all your success.
Yeah.
You getting those playoff tickets?
Well, this is why I'm calling in. They're 1 o'clock games. I just wanted to get your guys' insight on why it's at 1 p.m. I got a job. I can't make a 1 p.m. game. I don't understand why we get.
You can't get Jack. What do you do for a living? If you don't mind,
I'm in supply chain.
Supply chain. The supply chain can wait a day. Wait a few days.
Can't you deliver it overnight? Work for Beatbox. If you're in the Beatbox supply chain, I need you to get them over to the stadium.
Jack, the supply chain's not going to fall apart if you don't go to this game. I can say that with some confidence. There's nothing better. 1 o'clock, you get to play hooky from school. Do they even say that anymore? They don't. They don't.
That's all the time. They're always talking about hooky.
That's like a 1950s phrase. The truancy officer is going to get you. Take a day off of school. Take a week off of school. Whatever. Get to the game.
I know a couple of boys might be missing 2 days of school.
2 days. 2 days.
Father of the year.
I love it. Find a way to skip school. Find a way to get out.
I need a DD.
Did the Guardians? Do they give out those flyers or whatever?
The permission slips.
The permission slips.
I'm sure you'll get. We'll
Guys,
get
it's
a Word
the playoffs.
document tomorrow.
It's the playoffs. You're not going to remember what you learned in Algebra 2. Your quadratic equations? No. We need to figure out how we're going to beat Skubal. That's what matters. That's the math. That's the formula. If you beat Skubal, you're moving on to the ALDS. It's going to be sensational. Daryl will be here tomorrow. Kenny, still in Disney World. He said he was going to call in. He didn't. I don't blame him. Would you have wanted to talk about that game today? And stay tuned. Baskin and Phelps, during the show, we'll find out. Will Stfansky be going another direction at quarterback? Thank you, Anthony Castrovins and Jason Lloyd, for joining us for Big Country. For Mitch, we'll see you tomorrow. Baskin and Phelps up next.
Ken is missing next week to go to the Magic Kingdom. He doesn't care about Guards Ball.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Loser town, loser fans, and you guys are a loser show.
This is Boomer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute. The Jets journey to Miami for tonight's opener on Monday Night Football. It's the ultimate pressure cooker, and no one wants to be 0-4 these days. Tua should enjoy a big game against Gangrene's defense, while the Fish will dare the Jets to throw. Miami's beleaguered coach Mike McDaniel needs a victory in the worst way. I believe he'll get it, let's say by a score of 30-24. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what Bet MGM does. Sign up for Bet MGM using bonus code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Get into pro football action with same-game parlays, live betting, or bet on new markets thanks to BetMGM Originals. Earn BetMGM rewards points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet, and keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Sign up with bonus code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, and receive up to $1,500